first and last of what God made, and that's the truth. But man, keep on trying to hold me back while another chicken head come home to lose. Too strong, try to do me wrong, and the last one standing will order and command you to dance. Oh, dance.
But tell your preacher and your teacher I'ma give you what you love.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. Today I'm inviting lots and lots of participation from the WURD listening audience because I am literally going in on a subject matter, on several subject matters today about things that I am thinking about and really just been paying attention to. Just as I was coming into the studio, there was news from Apple News that says we have the first confirmed reinfected COVID-19 case, young man in Nevada. I believe that's where it was. I have to look at the article again. Let me just double check to make sure. Yep, in Nevada, 25-year-old man was reinfected just 45 days later after his first bout with a different strand of COVID-19. So, you know, it's a warning to those of us who may have family members who got COVID and recovered from it, that you can get it again, in fact. And they talked about it several months ago, that Hong Kong had seen cases of reinfection, and we just kind of ignore it, you know, the way we do, because for some strange reason we think that if we live in America, those things are not coming across the water and getting to us. I just don't get it. So I can't tell you enough to continue to stay safe, continue to wear your mask, continue to do all of that. I'm not spending a whole lot of time on that right now, because there's something that I truly want to talk about, and I want you to lend me your eyes and ears, and I want you to really put your emotional intelligence on and pay attention to what I'm about to say to you. I put something on my Facebook page early this morning that Tennessee passes a law that would punish protesters by taking away their right to vote. They did that so quickly it was mind-boggling, right? Republican lawmakers and a Republican governor have greenlit a new law into Tennessee that makes it possible for people to have their voting rights revoked as punishment for participating in protests. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee signed the measure into law last week after a special 3-day legislative session. Now, we have laws at the federal level that have been sitting in places where we just can't seem to get it out of, because the Republican Senate stronghold has kept us from getting any laws passed that would help the people of this country to a larger degree. In Tennessee, they passed it after a 3-day legislative session. Under the new law, demonstrators who camp on state property, as scores have been doing in front of the state's Capitol building since George Floyd's killing earlier this year, can now be charged with a Class D felony, up from a misdemeanor it was previously. Tennessee, is one of 21 states that punishes felons by taking away their right to vote, and Governor Lee made it clear that this threat is meant as a warning to the protesters who have been forcing elected officials there to pay attention to their concerns about racial injustice in the state. Just hang with me because I'm going somewhere with this. From the Associated Press, the bill also imposes a mandatory minimum 45-day hold if convicted of aggravated rioting, enhances the fine for obstructing emergency vehicles from accessing highways, requires a court to order restitution for damaging state property, and creates a Class C felony offense for aggravated assault against a first responder, which carries a $15,000 fine and a mandatory minimum 90-day prison sentence. The governor said a provision requiring a warning to those camping illegally strengthened the bill and cited the discretion of the prosecutors and the judge. Lee has declined to meet with the activists who have been protesting in front of the state's Capitol building and seeking an audience with him for months, and pointed to fires that were set at a Tennessee courthouse when the protests first kicked off this spring as justification for the draconian measure. Tennessee is also one of the top 3 states in the country that is the most violent. I just need you to know, with the white supremacist groups. But they passed a law saying that if you protest in Tennessee, you will lose your right to vote. They passed this law last week. The irony of quelling a constitutional right by holding the right to vote hostage and threatening entry into the racist carceral system is not lost on me, nor is it lost on ACLU Tennessee, which has asked the governor to veto the bill. We are very disappointed in Governor Lee's decision to sign this bill, which chills free speech, undermines criminal justice reform, and fails to address the very issues of racial justice and police violence raised by protesters who are being targeted, said Executive Director Haiti Weinberg in a statement on the law. Now, I just read all of that to you, right? Okay. Here's where it's getting ready to get really, really interesting. In January of 2020, Cherry Gregg from KYW News Radio, 1060 AM, wrote an article that was largely ignored, and I want to bring it back to the forefront because just a few weeks ago, these same men showed up in Philadelphia in secret to meet to talk about they're getting ready to vote and that they're voting for President Trump, and they really didn't want anybody to know that they were voting for President Trump because their wives and girlfriends and everybody would have a heart attack with them, right? The Trump campaign held a grassroots roundtable discussion at a North Philadelphia church last week with a goal to grow the president's percentage of the black vote. We have been controlled by Democrats for over 70 years. Our neighborhoods not know better, said Sheila Armstrong, a former Democrat who recently ran for Philadelphia City Council. This was written in January, by the way. I'm going somewhere with this. Just pay attention to me. She's now a Republican and plans to join the Trump campaign as a ground trooper. I am going to be knocking on the door for Donald Trump now and not just getting the info out to the community, she said, noting that low unemployment convinced her to switch parties. When I walked in here, I saw many different faces. Many looked like me with different religious backgrounds. I am very impressed, Robert Stewart, a self-proclaimed free thinker who has been exploring whether to join the Trump campaign. He said it is hard for black voters to openly support the president. I have been getting an onslaught of criticism from family and political people from different parts of the government calling Trump a racist, he shared. It's been very hard for me to push through the noise, but I realized that there are more black Trump supporters than I thought. Black Voices for Trump's Instagram page launched in November of last year and currently has more than 2,700 followers. Organizers say they're hoping to grow Trump's support among black voters in Pennsylvania with small information sessions in Philadelphia and around the region. According to a recent poll by the Washington Post, 8 in 10 black voters are deeply pessimistic about America under Trump. But in December, both Emerson Pollin and Rasmussen reports had black voter support at about 34%. 34% of black people. Despite what is going on in this country right now, despite the fact that there's all kinds of killings, despite the fact that black men are being gunned down randomly, being shot in the back, being hung, and we're being told that it's suicides, black men who are making millions of dollars in the NBA, the NFL, the NHL, black men who have worked hard, gone to work, done all sorts of, made all sorts of sacrifices to get where they are. And I'm saying black men on purpose because of that 34%, it is estimated that 24% of that 34% are black men. That black men don't believe that anybody could run this Trump any better than the current president that we have. Black men, somebody talk to me, please. Why is this happening? I called my media friends. I said, is this a joke? They were like, nope. Black men were 8% in the corner of President Trump at the last election. It is now 24%. What are we doing, people? How can we look past all the things that are going on? The same president now that has been on Twitter, that has gone on the air, really ramping up, his law and order speech and divisiveness. The same president that in Oregon this past weekend, his people came out with flags and riding through with pickup trucks, spraying mace and paintball at people. One of them got killed. The same president. 24% of black men, according to all the polls that they've been doing, are planning to vote for President Trump. Even more interesting, a lot of those black men are pastors and deacons in churches, leaders of wherever they are and whatever they're doing. And I need somebody to tell me, 215-634-8065, where is this coming from? If so many of our people are dying, if we are talking about the fact that all of this stuff is going on, if we are fighting and screaming and railing about the fact that our voices are not heard, and 24% of our people, of our black men, the same black men that we black women and other black men are fussing and complaining about, that we really need to get our lives, our voices heard, and that our voices matter. Why is this happening? And so it's really interesting. In Sherry's article again in January, and I remember she wrote this in January, nobody talked about it. It was a blip on the screen, because it was that can't possibly be true. We're fussing and arguing with young people and telling them that they have to go vote. We're telling them they don't know what they're talking about, and yet in secret we're fighting with white women who were saying are secretly going out to vote for this president, and yet in secret we have 24% of our black men showing up in the polls to vote for this president, despite the fact that we continue to die at alarming rates, despite the fact that everything that we've asked for, children are dying, our black men are dying, our black women are dying. What in the Sam Hill? What is wrong here, right? So this article was written March 9th, 2020. The gender gap in black views on Trump. This is on Vox.com. The gender gap in black views on Trump explained, right? And it was written by Jane Colston. She says, as a general rule, black Americans do not support Donald Trump. According to a recent Wall Street Journal NBC poll, Trump enjoys just a 14% approval with black Americans, while roughly 8 in 10 black voters said they're uncomfortable with his 2020 run for election. In a poll of roughly 800 black registered voters conducted by Black PAC, Trump had a 59% net job approval rating against one black people. But within those numbers is another story, a stark gender divide. Roughly 24% of black men polled by NBC approved of Trump's effort while in office. 72% of black men disapprove, but that number plummets to 6% when black women are asked the same question. Black men, I need y'all to call in here. 215-634-8065, because I have questions. Exit polling from the 2016 election shows that while 13% of black men voted for Donald Trump, just 4% of black women did. In Pennsylvania, that number dropped to 1%. 1% of black women voted for Donald Trump in Pennsylvania. For comparison's sake, a majority of white men and white women voted for Trump, as did 32% of Latino men and 25% of Latino women. And this black gender gap isn't new. Exit polls in 2008 and 2012 show that more black women voted for Barack Obama than did black men. Black men, what is going on? You're the ones that are out here dying now. A man was shot 7 times in his back. They had him shackled to his bed. They made up all these stories about all of what he's done. You've watched all the vitriol fly back and forth. Somebody tell me why black men insist on this. I need somebody to tell me what this is about. And ordinarily, we don't talk about these things in the media, and especially not on Black Talk Media, right? But the thing about having this kind of voice and having this kind of platform is that we have to call this stuff out. Because if black women are getting up every day and we're crying a river and we're working with our brothers and we're telling you how much we love you and we're doing all sorts of wonderful things for you, how is it that 24% of you get up and you're meeting secretly right here in Philadelphia, right? And I'm sure in other places around the country, to talk about how you're voting for Donald Trump, and we will never see it on your social media pages. You'll never talk about it publicly. But this is what you're doing. So how do you fix your breath in one sentence to say, oh, we're dying out here and we need help and we need this and we need that, and then you're going to vote for the very person that's killing us, right? That's creating the vitriol that is taking us out of here. Somebody tell me what is going on. And someone actually said, Trump is genuinely an aspirational figure for some African-American men. This gender divide, as unstudied as it may be, is still obvious, and the Trump re-election campaign seems to be leading into it. So you saw the Republican National Convention last week. Did you pay attention? Did you pay attention how many black men were there? There were a couple of black women, but did you pay attention that there's a group that he's specifically going after, and it's black men? Because so many of you, despite the fact that our brothers and sisters are dying, despite the fact that there's health disparities, education disparities, you're being shot down in the streets time and time again. Despite all of that, 24% of black men have secretly decided that they're voting for this current president that we have in office. Somebody tell me why. Maurice from Southwest, come on, let's talk.
Hello, Mother.
Listen, you know.
Let me break it down to you. You know, I worked in the prison system for 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to all the young guys. I've been to all the projects, all the centers. I've even been to them all. They all have the same answer. Some of them are playing both sides. They're getting paid to show up and play house Negro for the Republicans. And then there's others that love and hate women, that love to see a man in charge telling women what to do.
Yeah, Maurice.
You got to put that factor in there, too. And then you have the ones that all think they're Malcolm X and think that voting means nothing. They done convinced themselves because most of them can't vote or never even voted.
Mm-hmm.
Them the ones that's the loudest, that talks about all this history about what somebody did because maybe they learned how to read a book.
Right.
And now all of a sudden they think they have all the knowledge in the world.
Yeah.
So when I talk to the brothers, I say, listen here, you know what voting is? You got a gun, but voting is the bullet.
Yes.
And you're not using your bullets. You're doing a lot of talking and shining and standing around, making a lot of noise, but when it actually turns time for you to actually do something,
right,
you don't have no ammunition.
Yeah.
And they look at me and they think about it, and I done got a few guys to register to vote. I can't get them all, but I'm just saying, this is what's going on. If you listen to other shows on URD and you listen, this is what's going on but when you turn the dial to the Republican stations, because we have two stations right down the dial, 990 and 1210. They may not like the opponent. They may hate the opponent, but guess what? If that opponent is talking white, they're voting. They don't care about what issues they're doing. They don't care if they got to die, wear no mask. That's the unity that they have.
That is so crazy to me.
Learn how to do it.
That is so crazy to me. Maurice, I got to take a break. But thank you so much for calling, okay? You are listening to The Source. I know we have other callers on. Just hang tight for me. 96, excuse me, .1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Weather and traffic to keep you informed for your drive home. In the Happy Hour with Sincerely Sarita. Monday through Thursday, 4 till 7 p.m. Right here on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
We will never know how many of our friends and family members didn't get COVID-19 because we followed safeguards. We'll never know that number. This is Dan Hilferty, CEO of Independence Blue Cross, with a simple reminder of how much good we do for others when we protect ourselves. We'll never know how many lives we save because we wear masks, wash our hands frequently, and keep social distance. We'll never know exactly who we help, who we save when we take protective steps each day. We'll only know one thing for certain, that we did all we could to save people from the effects of a pandemic with the potential to overwhelm the region. And that's a nice thing for us to live with. Thank you all. For more on what you can do, visit ibx.com. Together, we are beating COVID-19.
Always Best Care is a great place to work. Flexibility,
leadership,
purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
Diversity,
Inclusion, compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate Team Green. You can apply online at teamgreenabc.com or call 267-909-9248.
teamwork makes the dream work.
You're listening to The Source
On Word Radio.
96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Back to The Source. Before we go to our first guest, which is Aaliyah Condon, hold on one second, Aaliyah. Let me take a couple of these phone calls. If you are just joining us, I began the show with a conversation around the fact that 24% of black men are planning to vote for our current president. At first, I thought I was nuts, right? So I started calling all my media friends. I started doing my research, started looking. I asked Cherry to send me the article that she wrote in January, and then she sent me another one in March, and that this has been very quietly happening in the background, right? Because I don't want anybody to know. Maurice from North Philly, I've got 1 minute. How are you, sir?
All right. I want to bring it from a different perspective. As a former incarcerated, where you got men in Pennsylvania alone that's stuck in prison because they got rid of the habeas corpus in 1996. So it's a procedure default. They can't even come out of prison on a procedure default. The people in the street know what's going on, know who incarcerated them. You talking about the 1994 crime bill incarcerated 7 million people or more. You have 2.3 million still incarcerated. You got 4.5 million that's still on parole probation. Look the evidence up. People didn't forget who done this. So now this man let over 100,000 people out of federal prisons coming home. They telling their family, this man letting us out of prison for unjust. So now you have to go back and say, why are these people voting for him?
Okay.
Or why the men in the street? Because they family members is in the jail telling them, this who did this to us.
Okay, so what you're saying to me, if I hear this correctly, is that because of the 1994 crime bill and all the black men that have been locked up, because it's mostly black men, and that 3.2 million are still incarcerated, and that this current president let out over 100,000 people. Is that what you're telling me?
That's what I'm telling you about the facts.
And so that's why black men are voting for him, despite everything else that's going on?
It's a segment of them.
But the black men that I'm talking about are the ones that I'm hearing that are showing up in these rooms where they're quietly meeting are pastors and deacons and leaders of business and industry. That's the black men that...
I'm not even talking about them. There's a street segment I'm talking about.
Okay.
For him.
Okay.
I'm not even talking about the press. He's not getting nothing out of the deal.
Okay,
got you. Only know that who did them wrong.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Maurice. I appreciate it. I got a guest on, so I got to hold on, okay? All right, Mike, New Jersey. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I have 1 minute, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I think part of the issue, too, is take a look at, you say, who's the deacons, and a lot of these men are older. Look what's happening in their neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. Democrats have been running Philadelphia for 60-plus years. Tell me how the black community is all better off. Tell me, look at the poverty. Look at the schools. Nothing ever changes in Philadelphia, yet blacks continue to vote for Democrats year after year after year, and the Democrats know it, and they don't have to do a darn thing. They don't have to do anything to earn the black vote. Nothing.
Gotcha.
Now think about this. If you went to work and didn't have to do anything to earn a paycheck, and you're guaranteed 100% to get your paycheck, you going to work? There you go. That's the problem right there.
Thank you.
The Democrats are guaranteed the black vote.
Got you. I understand. Thank you so much, Mike, for calling in. Do I have another caller? Can I go to my guest?
Frank from Northville.
Frank, come on, Frank, quickly. 1 minute.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
You know what? I'm a 77-year-old black male, and it's two kinds of black people: the house Negro and the field Negro.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes, and things will never change.
Okay, got you. All right, thank you so much for calling in. Lord have mercy. I opened up a can of worms, but it's a conversation that needed to be had. I still don't have my answers, right? I'm hearing that it's a part of the incarcerated group that's coming out and decided that they're going to vote for this president. And then there's another part of black men that they're doing well in society, watching all the things that are happening around us, and are still intent on voting. 24%, less than 1% of the black women voted for the president. 24% of the black men are deciding that they're going to vote come hell or high water. We got to figure this out. All right, so right now we have the Do It Now team founder, Aaliyah Conlon, civic activist and founder of the Do It Now movement. Aaliyah Conlon leapt into action in the spring of 2020 when history repeated itself and an international shift began following the brutal murder by police of George Floyd. The Do It Now movement was formed to unleash Aaliyah's passion for the push towards equality and her craving to create a rewrite of diversity within her community and the world. Aaliyah, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Did you hear everything that I was just talking about, Aaliyah?
Yes, I did. I did.
I don't know. And, you know, it's interesting, Aaliyah. People, you know, we talk about these things quietly and we moan and complain. For me, it makes sense to openly have a discussion about it because every vote matters. If we say every vote matters in this election and 24% of black men are going to vote for this current president, what are we missing? So tell us a little bit about Do It Now and what you're planning to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you just said, you know, that open conversation aspect. You know, that is a lot of what Do It Now strives to do, is kind of have that open connection and that open conversation with the community. Mm-hmm. So we are a new movement and organization. We were founded, like you said, towards the beginning of June, following the senseless murder of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery. You know, and that's just on the heels of the many other names that we have had to hear and the pain that we've had to endure over the last 100 years plus. And so, you know, I kind of just took that pain, that sorrow, and that hurt, and I gathered my closest family and friends, and I was like, we have to do something. And Do It Now was born. And we're a collective of young racial injustice activists who realize that change can come from the betterment of black lives if we all believe it, spread it, and, you know, are a part of it ourselves. And we're geared towards fighting to broaden the awareness of, you know, better sources of black culture, businesses, education, and history throughout the communities and hopefully the world.
So, Aaliyah, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Are you under the age of 30?
I am.
Yeah, I love you all. I love you all because I'm running out of steam, child. Mother is running out of steam. I'm running out of steam from talking to the old stiff-necked ones. I'm running out of steam from talking to the ones who just think they know everything. I'm just running out of steam. The Tennessee government just passed a law that if you are protesting, you can lose your right to vote. There's all sorts of different things happening right now. How are you and Do It Now going to make a difference from between now and November 3rd and beyond? What are your goals? What are your ultimate goals?
Yeah, so our ultimate goals right now, we just finished up a big backpack drive. We had a virtual event on August 8th, and it was geared all towards bringing light to inequity in education, and that's one of our biggest foundations. And where we really want to put a lot of our time moving forward is in education and the inequities that are within it in the black communities and in communities of color, because that is one of the, you know, largest ways that we have just been held back and, you know, oppressed is through our education sources. So, you know, as far as education as it goes to the, you know, most standard form of in classroom, you know, education of, you know, health and wellness, education of voting rights, you know, as you're saying. So, you know, we've been doing this more recently through live streams, which have featured a large and very diverse grouping of people who bring about all types of educational points to the table. And, so we are, you know, more recently starting to work with community groups such as Barley Building Anti-Racist White Educators, Philadelphia PBSA, Philadelphia Black Student Association, and then some other churches. So yeah.
Talk to me about the anti-racist white educators. Where are you finding them?
So they are actually a group that was, they did a small segment on our August 8th virtual event. And they're in the Philadelphia area. They are, you know, currently, like so many organizations in the area, are hosting their committees and their meetings online. And but they are a group that works, you know, in person when there's not a pandemic.
Yeah. Aaliyah, you see what's happening right now. You see that it's not getting any better. We have 62, 63 days before a very pivotal election. Do It Now is here, passionately fighting for racial justice, education, equality, voter registration, help to fight voter suppression, support black trans people, U.S. Census to get counted, make Juneteenth a national holiday. Which of these things, I know you've given out the backpacks and that you're working with several groups at this point, but what is the most pressing thing on your agenda right now?
You know, I would have to say that it is probably between our education, equality, and our voter registration, because like you said, we are in such a paramount and very, very important time in our history and in our country. And we are really trying to have a big push out there. You know, during our backpack drive yesterday, you know, we were handing out voter registrations. We were making sure people had a plan to vote, you know, where their polling locations are. And like I said, that ties so much into our education. And we want to make sure that people are making educated, informed information, that they are not being suppressed, that they have all that they need to get themselves out there, get themselves voting. Because from voting, then we create change. We get school board members in there who are going to have better funding and allocate the funds towards our schools, towards our books, towards not having asbestos in our buildings. And it's just, voting is just such a paramount aspect to our community and, you know, it to our belief within the Do It Now organization.
So you have a Do It Now Black Business Directory. What is that about?
Yeah, so when we had our Juneteenth event back at the end of June, we put together a 35-page document. Actually, Tatiana Greer, I have to shout her out. She was, you know, really the biggest brains in our committee behind that. And we gathered up all different types of black businesses. We sorted them by men and women apparel, you know, unisex, you know, gender neutral apparel, health and wellness, you know, jewelry, home goods, all that kind of stuff, just so that we could get the push out there and get the support in the black stores, black communities, and in these online black businesses, you know, because once again, there is where you see change. You know, how you asked, you know, when we started, you know, people kept asking, what can we do? What can we change? Well, start by doing the most simplest thing. What's one thing that you buy every month, every week, and see if you can buy that thing from a black business, from a black owner. You know, and so many people, when we were talking to them, were like, I don't even know where to begin to look for these sources of, you know, black businesses, either from their area or even just, you know, national and worldwide companies. So we wanted to make it easier for people, you know, because that's always key, you know, unfortunately making things easier. But, you know, we really wanted people to be able to have right there in the palm of their hand a source for how and where they can support these black businesses, and not just on Juneteenth, but moving forward, like I said, making it a part of your week, a part of your month. You know, little changes really do help.
Okay. You also have a culturally relevant books and resources. What is your website?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to be sure you lose you.
I just had a. Okay, I'm sorry. My apologies, honey. I got something going on my windpipe.
Oh, no worries.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. What's your website?
Our website is www.doitnowmovement.com.
doitnowmovement.com.
Yes.
Okay.
And I heard you ask about the culturally relevant book resource guide. Yes. So that's found on our website as well. And that was our kind of tag-along resource that we had as a part of our Amplify community event on August 8th. around equity in education and empowerment of the youth. And once again, we were just looking to make it easier for people to make culturally relevant, diverse books, antagonists with people of color, part of the home, a part of the classroom, because representation, as we know, is just so important.
It is.
And it really makes all the difference for whether it be a black or kid of color who's in a predominantly white school and has no representation that they see in the books that they're viewing, or whether it be a kid who's even in an all-black environment and even still has an educator who doesn't, understand the importance of seeing, somebody, a character, somebody who looks like them in that positive light.
But, it is 2020.
Yeah.
We've been living in this country for, forever. And we keep asking for these things. We want the culturally relevant resources. We want to be able to walk down the street and not die. We want, I don't understand what it's going to take to create the changes that we need. I mean, we have all these organizations popping up doing the work like you, the Do It Now movement. What is your Amped Up pledge?
Yeah, so our Amped Up pledge, it was a song that we had created. Actually, a shout out to my mom, Bonnie Sermons, who created the words to that song. And it's too long for me to recite it, but it just cycles through different aspects of being amped up and using your community. Amped up to serve, amped up for change, amped up for community, and it's just a way to kind of bring those kids. Get one's number one. Just give them a nice, positive song that is motivating and can be something that can be a part of what they sing with their friends. But I wanted to answer your more important question of what do we do? Like you said, with all these organizations, what we have going forward, and I really think that is collaboration. That's a big part of Do It Now. I founded it, but I'm far from the way that it keeps moving. And I am just so blessed to have all these amazing people that I know from school, that I met, or a friend of a friend, who are in my family, my husband, who are just so supportive. And just we really do work together, and we want to work with other organizations. And I think that, like you said, there's so many fantastic organizations out here right now, especially popping up in this summer. I think the answer is that we all are fighting for the same thing. Yes. Let's do it together. Let's not pull people in a million different directions, 100, different, rallies, marches, and things like that. And that is beautiful because it creates, obviously more opportunities for people to go. But let's all band together. Yes. There is so much that can happen from volume and from like our messages, from movement. Right. And to keep something moving, it has to have force behind it. It has to have numbers. It has to have an amplified amount. I think collaboration is where, we are headed. And, with these different organizations, I think that's, kind of the key to how we make this change. All right. So you have a contact information here, phone number 215-518-0995. The website is www.doitnowmovement.com. Email is aliyah@doitnowmovement.com. You're on Instagram at doitnow_movement, and you're on Facebook at doitnowmovement. Aliyah Conlin, thank you so, so much. I wish you all the best, and I look forward to hearing from you in the future with great things, okay? Thank you so much, and join us, everyone. We'd love to hear from you and have you as a part of our movement. All right. Thank you so much, Aliyah. Have a good one. Thank you. Bye-bye. My team. All right. Bye-bye. You are listening to The Source. I'm over here choking, right? Something goes down my windpipe. Mike is spraying alcohol. He don't ask me if I'm okay. He don't ask if I need any water. He starts spraying like, see how they treat me around here? But I come in here with my Lysol and Lysol down everything to make sure we're all safe. Oh my gosh, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Philadelphia families, PHL Pre-K, the city's free pre-K program, is now enrolling. Over 130 pre-K centers are getting ready to serve children this year with appropriate health and safety precautions. There are no income limits for this free pre-K program. Children who are 3 or 4 years old as of September 1 can enroll. Call 844-PHL Pre-K or visit phlprek.org to learn more and find a quality pre-K center. That's 844-PHL Pre-K. This program is made possible by the Philadelphia Beverage Tax. COVID-19, rising infections, red alert levels, and worries about reopening. What can you do? The Germ Killer's two-step products and services disinfect and protect for up to 90 days to give you peace of mind. The Germ Killer's system kills viruses and bacteria on high-touch surfaces in schools, houses of worship, businesses, and public transportation. Decontaminate immediately and keep students, school staff, congregations, or customers safe for months. Go to thegermkillers.com and get the coverage and safety you deserve.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Source. Somebody's calling just that quickly. The Community College of Philadelphia is encouraging participation in Enough is Enough virtual solidarity walk. The Community College of Philadelphia is continuing its commitment to fight systemic racism and social injustice by hosting a solidarity walk for 8 minutes and 46 seconds in memory of George Floyd. The walk will take place tomorrow, Tuesday, September 1st. Dr. Donald Guy Generals, college president, will begin his socially distant walk at the college's Mint building at 1700 Spring Garden Street with 2 students, both of whom participate in the college's Black Scholars Mentor Program and the Center for Male Engagement. In addition, members of the college community are encouraged to walk outside wherever it is convenient, wearing all black, Black Lives Matter, or college apparel alone, or socially distancing with friends. Participants are encouraged to create a sign to let others know why they are walking, and community members are welcome to join. Participants can show support by taking a photo or video and sharing it by tagging @CCPEDU on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook using the hashtag #EnoughIsEnough. If I would love for Dr. Generals, I'd love to talk to him about this. I didn't see. The event is organized by the college's Center for Male Engagement and the Black Studies program. This event is part of the college's continued Enough is Enough series. It's 4 p.m. It starts at the Mint building steps at 1700 Spring Garden Street, 19130. Tomorrow, Tuesday, September 1st, and it starts at 4 p.m. I'd love to talk to Dr. Generals or somebody from the Center for the Male Engagement and the Black Studies program to call into the show. That would be great, because we could talk a little bit more about that. Let me take Tyrone. I think you better call Tyrone. Hi, Tyrone.
Hello, Mother. How are you?
I'm good now. I was choking a minute ago. No thanks to Mike.
I'm thank God you got it together. Say peace and blessings to you and my WURD family. Mother, I'm just calling just to say you would have been very, very proud of your young people on Friday in Washington.
Okay.
You know.
Oh, you went to the march? You went to the march, Tyrone?
Yes.
Tell Mother about it.
Well, one of the things that was so beautiful was the diversity and the intergenerational. And everyone that was there was in one accord. But, Mother, our young folks have such an amazing way of expressing their creativity.
Yeah.
I mean, there was, I know they're talking about hundreds of thousands. Mother, I know there was 1 million plus. It probably was 2 million people there.
Yeah.
And no disruption whatsoever.
Yeah, because you know what, Tyrone, we are a peaceful people, right?
Yes.
There is something to be said when folks try to make us out to be monsters. This has been going on since the beginning of time. And so we're a peaceful people. I see the Black Lives Matter movement is being tied to the protesting that's happening and, the disruption in the cities to make the Black Lives Matter movement look like something. What was the biggest lesson you learned while out there, Tyrone?
I think that our young folks really, really have it together.
Yep.
I mean, just looking, when I was saying it was such a variety of different young progressive groups.
Mm-hmm.
They all had their way of showing their identity, but did not take away from the unity. But most important for me was the young people that spoke.
Yeah.
My God. And you know, Mother, I'm just going to say this, that I was a little hesitant about the virus, right? But one of the things that came to me was the reason why there were so many folks out there is because the virus in our epidemic is the killing of innocent children and people is our epidemic. And I think folks was there to protest that. And the other thing, Mother, the messages, even though the messages they talked from voting to racism to youth unemployment, but those young folks said, world, look out. Here we come.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I'm putting my money behind them.
I had my money on them a long time ago, Tyrone. They're not playing. The young people mean business because we are dropping the ball. My generation, your generation, right?
Yeah,
we got a little bit, and then we got complacent. Look at what's going on in the country right now. And every time we talk about voting, we only talk about the presidential elections. But if we look at what's going on locally, who do we put the responsibility on when our communities? How are you a state rep or a city council person or a mayor or any of these things, and you're looking at all this stuff that's going on in our communities, and black folks seem to continue to be going backwards instead of going forwards? How do you explain that, right? And what are we telling people? What are we saying to folks?
And Mother, you know what? I pray to God that the energy, the enthusiasm, the compassion that those young folks showed when standing up for this, plague and disease in our country, the way they were standing up, these young folks that are in the community, that are bringing disruption into the community, that are shooting and killing one another. I just wish that there can be a one-on-one, mind-to-mind coming together.
Yeah, but Tyrone, pay attention. Listen to me, son. Listen to me, Tyrone.
Yes.
Pay attention to what I'm saying to you. Yes, I am not saying that our communities are not struck with poverty and violence. I'm not saying those things are not happening. But don't you see that there has been a terrible uptick in recent weeks? That this is not just all coming from our community? Don't you see that disinformation is being spread in our communities to make it seem like we're all just out here like wildebeest, not doing what we're supposed to do?
Yes, Mother, I see that, and I heard when you had mentioned that when I talked to you the other day.
Yes.
There is something that we have to look around and say, wait a minute.
Yes.
This just ain't right.
Yes.
Because the other thing is, why are we in a situation when a police killed someone and there's peaceful protests around it, it turned into burning our community down?
Yeah, but it wasn't us that was doing it though, Tyrone.
I know, that's what I'm saying. There are some forces out there that are creating these type of behaviors to make, it looks like we are the bad guys.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think Charles Edison said it. Ellison said it best. He said, "We are out protesting peacefully, but here comes these white supremacists with guns. So they coming with their malice, with their, weapons, while folks are protesting peacefully.
Yes.
But they're coming to disrupt the agenda.
You know what, Tyrone?
We got to be careful about that.
I do, and we have to keep talking about it, and we have to keep making sure that we're not spreading this information and that we're not allowing people to think that it's all coming from us, and we just have to be super careful. Listen, I have someone on the line that I really need to talk to, and so love you, my brother. Thank you always for checking in, okay?
Thank you for always allowing me to share.
Not a problem, Tyrone. Take it easy.
Okay.
I am going to take a quick break so that I can have Dr. Blake uninterrupted. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Start your day with Daybreak. Hosted by Helana. Weekdays 6 a.m. till 7 a.m. Exclusively on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app. The Word Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on Word Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the Word Radio newsletter.
Need a new mattress? Stop by to see Julian, the Mattress Man, located at 7421 Stenton Avenue. You deal directly with the owner, Julian, to ensure the best prices on name brand mattresses like Sealy, Posturepedic. Call 215-424-5550. That's 215-424-5550.
This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Independent Black Media.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Source. If you are just joining us, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I am your host on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 1 to 4 p.m., where we bring you everything that you would possibly want to hear and then some. I took my break a little bit early because this conversation that I'm getting ready to have is one that is completely, superbly important to all of us, right? On Saturday, Friday night into Saturday morning, we were all given the shock that Chadwick Boseman, 43-year-old actor who had quite a few movies under his belt, Jackie Robinson movie, the Thurgood Marshall movie, the James Brown movie, and for young black children everywhere, the Black Panther movie, died of colon cancer. He was diagnosed at the age of 4 years ago, so that was like 39, somewhere in there, and got married last October at the end stage of his life. So his wife is now dealing with all of what's going on here. And so yesterday, after watching the Black Panther movie, I went on my social media page and I said, I challenge you to tell me something you learned from this movie other than the fact that it was, you know, entertainment. And so I got a lot of information from that. I'm having a whole show around that on Wednesday at noon. And so I needed to stay tuned for that. But today, with Dr. Major, I said to her, she and I began talking, because when I asked her what she learned, Dr. Archima Major put that we need to get tested. And so on the line with us today is Dr. Blake. Dr. Blake, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
So I can't tell you, this was so last minute. Thank you so much. I don't know if it's the angels or Dr. Archima that was able to get you on here as quickly as you possibly could. I know you've been doing procedures all day, so I thank you. Listen, tell everybody who you are and what is your specialty, sir.
Of course. As you mentioned, my name is, last name is Blake, Dr. Stephen Blake. I'm a board-certified gastroenterologist in private practice here in Philadelphia for 26 years. And I was just as saddened as the world was to hear that this young actor had died from the most preventable cancer in our community. That's
Is it really?
Cancer. Yes, it's the preventable. We can't do breast, prostate, lung, and anything else. And every part of the body can develop cancer except for our hair, our teeth, and our nails.
Right.
But for Chadwick Boseman, at 39 being diagnosed. Back in 2009, the American College of Gastroenterology made a sweeping modification and recommendations that African Americans should get screened at age 45. What we've been seeing in the past 10 years is this escalation as far as the incidence of colon cancer in young millennials, 18 to 35.
What?
So even lowering the screening age to 45, dating back to 2009, there was a lot of pushback from the American Cancer Society, stating that African Americans were no more in need of being screened earlier than any other race. But finally, in May of 2018, the American Cancer Society made an about-face in their recommendations and stated that they were in agreement with African Americans going at 45, but they were changing their recommendations from 50 to 45 for everybody. Even at 45, young millennials are not being screened because there's no recommendations to start as early as 18. But we're seeing colon cancer in 18, 19, 20 years old, 25, 26, 30, 31, and as you just saw, 39, and he's deceased at 43. But Katie Couric's husband died at 43 from colon cancer. No, I think he died at 46.
Yes.
Was diagnosed at 43. So, but the point that we should, take from this tragic loss is that no one should be in denial when there's any symptomatology such as seeing blood. Even one drop is more than you should see.
Oh, my God.
Tissue paper or in the commode. Constipation, diarrhea, abdominal pains, heaven forbid, weight loss without an effort to lose weight. Those are the signs and symptoms that gets a young person through the door. But unfortunately, in my 26 years of private practice, I can't count the number of young people that have died because they were erroneously led to believe that because of their young age, if they saw blood, it had to be only hemorrhoids. Now, that doesn't make any sense. But that's what so many young people led to believe. I don't know anything about Chadwick Boseman's symptoms, but he obviously has something going on that indicated he needed to be evaluated. Unfortunately, by the time he was evaluated, it was already a stage 3, and we do know that some people survive with a stage 3 and a stage 4 with some of the available therapies along with surgeries that are available now. But unfortunately, he was not one of the lucky people.
So I need you to say the symptoms again, because I think just about everybody has had constipation, diarrhea. Not everyone sees the blood. So the blood is not from
you don't
hemorrhoids?
have to see blood, and there's about 10 different things that can cause blood to be present rectally. The least concerning is internal hemorrhoid. But unfortunately, more often than not, when a young person does go in to see their physician, they are told, oh, you're too young to be concerned about that. It's just your hemorrhoids. You'll be okay.
Oh, my goodness. And so
the community, the public, needs to advocate for themselves. If they are told not to worry, the first thing they should say to whoever is telling them that, how do you know is not one of the other concerning problems other than just hemorrhoids? I had a young guy who was 31, graduated from Morehouse, got his MBA at Stanford, had been treated for hemorrhoids by his family doctor. He finally gets married. He's now 31. His wife said, well, look, are the hemorrhoids going to ever stop bleeding? I think you should go back just to make sure it's nothing but hemorrhoids. He goes in, he's dead 6 weeks later from advanced metastatic colon cancer. His wife is 7 months pregnant. that story is very, very common. It is not just limited to African Americans, but we are aware that African American men are at the highest incidence for colon cancer compared to any other race or gender, African American males. And we don't, and unfortunately, oftentimes African American males will not even come in to be evaluated. And it's not because they don't have any health insurance, but in a state of denial.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know. Okay. Can you explain to us why you're seeing such a rise in 18 to 35-year-olds? Where do you surmise as a doctor that this is coming from?
Well, it's not that we can put our fingers on specifically the reason. There's more likely a combination of things, but the main thing that we feel is contributing to this elevation and this increase of incidence of colon cancer in young millennials is the amount of stress that they are under compared to years ago. You know, modern technology with the various types of social media platforms that oftentimes create a lot of unnecessary stress and anxiety in young individuals. They can't make it through the day without constantly checking to see what has been said potentially about them, posted about them, what kind of retaliation. They're waking up in the middle of the night, checking their Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's just a whole lot of unnecessary stress that these young millennials are subjecting themselves to. And the brain is connected to every part of the body, but the part of the body that the brain is most intimately connected to is the colon, to the point that we call the colon brain number 2.
Wow.
So emotional, psychological stress impacts the colon directly and can lead to developing ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, and definitely developing polyps that will progress into colon cancer.
Oh my, you know you're about to make me set an appointment to get a colonoscopy done, right?
Well, are you having any symptoms?
No, I'm not having any, but I am at that age where it's time.
Well, if you're 45 and above, yes, it's definitely time.
Yes.
Don't delay. No one knows what's already growing inside of their colons. And if they wait until it's obvious that there's pathology occurring there, then it might be too late. But if you're 45 and above, the message to those individuals listening, get yourself evaluated. Stop putting it off. If you're less than 45 and you have a family history, mom, dad, or sister and brother, stop putting it off. If you're at least 35, come in now. If any of those first-degree relatives developed colon cancer and they were in their 30s, all their first-degree relatives should come in their 20s, 10 years prior to whatever age they were diagnosed.
Yes.
Chadwick, if he has any surviving sisters and brothers and they're not 45 yet, they should come in.
He is the youngest of 3 boys.
He's the youngest, where those older 2 need to come in 10 years prior to the age that he was diagnosed. So if he was diagnosed at 39, family members, if they're older, is a moot point. But if they were not older, they would need to come in as early as 28 or 29. He didn't just wake up at 39 and had it.
And had symptoms,
because he was stage 3 when he was diagnosed at 39. He probably theoretically had polyps, in his 30s. But if there's not black bowel movement, rectal bleeding, constipation, diarrhea, abdominal pains, or weight loss, then a young millennial would be challenged to get a colonoscopy completed. With any of those symptoms, it's a no-brainer. Come in and get yourself evaluated. That's the message. Any of those signs and symptoms, please come in. We lost a genius.
Yes.
And it didn't have to be. That's the sad part about it.
Dr. Blake, I'm sitting here listening to you, and I had a friend on the same social media page yesterday that said he had some issues at 31 or 32 and had to fight the insurance company to get a colonoscopy to make sure he was okay because they kept telling him they weren't going to pay for it, right?
Well, that's another nightmare that might be encountered as well. But an astute gastroenterologist should not have any problems getting a person scheduled for a colonoscopy if they present with the appropriate indicative signs and symptoms to justify it.
Wow. Wow. Hold on one second, Dr. Blake. The line's lighting up. You've got people intrigued. Ellen from line 3. Ellen, are you there?
Here.
How are you?
I want to ask Dr. Blake, what insurances does he take?
I was getting ready to ask him the same thing, too.
And is there an out-of-pocket cost?
Well, it's ironic that as of tomorrow, the only insurance I will be accepting moving forward would be Medicare. And that's after 26 years of having to fight the insurance companies every day to get paid for work that I've already done. I own a surgery center in Mount Airy, 6827 Germantown Avenue, and I built this building back in 2005, and it's hard to find a private practice physician.
Can you turn your radio or something down, Doctor? Okay, we can hear an echo behind you.
There's no radio in my.
Oh, so then it's probably the room that you're in. We can hear an echo behind you.
Oh, okay. Yes, I need to.
Okay. I don't think I haven't made any changes.
Okay, that's fine, Dr. Blake. That was Ellen. That was Ellen. We heard you in Ellen's background.
Okay. But no, after most private physicians are no longer private physicians any longer.
Oh, wow.
The majority of physicians work for hospitals because they lost their practices due to the culture of the health insurances. You work, but you don't get paid. So, unfortunately, I'm only accepting Medicare, people who work every day but don't have access, because if you don't have insurances, you can't get through the door of any facility owned by a hospital.
Right.
And practically everything is owned by a hospital now. So I've made a hard decision that before I lose my practice because of the insurance companies, I will risk going independent from the insurance company.
Wow.
And so there are plenty of people with very high deductibles because what the insurance companies have done to them. If you're one of those individuals who have high deductible, we can take care of you. We can take care of anybody who wants to be taken care of. But I have made a decision I cannot continue to fight the insurance companies and potentially lose my private practice.
All right, Ellen, did you get your question answered?
Yes, thank you very
much. Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you. Casey, line 1.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. My girlfriend, Leticia, told me about you, Sandra.
Andrea?
Yeah, Andrea, sorry.
That's all right.
I was calling because I was going to talk about what the doctor was talking about when I came in. I had a really good best friend, and she passed away of colon cancer, and it was weird because she had a baby, and she was about 20. I was about 25, so she might have been like 28 at the time. And after she had the baby, there was her third child. After she had a little boy, right, she started losing weight. So she was like, oh, look at this weight. We was just talking, like, what, how is she losing this weight? The nurse was like, oh, look at you, getting down. But she was getting smaller and smaller. And she's like, she couldn't hold hot dogs down, she was telling me. And I'm sitting there trying to diagnose her. We're in our 20s. And then come to find out when she had colon cancer, yo.
Wow.
That's horrible.
She lived for a little while, but, it was crazy. But she was, that just took me out.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Thank you. Thank you so much for calling, Casey. It's a pleasure talking to you. Have a good one, okay?
All right. I always listen to you. This is the first time I called in.
Oh, I know. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Okay.
All right, Jacob from Alney. Dr. Blake is on the line. How are you?
All right. How you doing, Sister Andrea?
I'm good.
Doctor. Hey, look, the doc didn't pay me for this because he's my doctor, and I'm telling you, he has one of the most professional staff that and that type of thing that I've ever seen. I mean, from the parking lot to the parking lot. When you go in, and when you come out, everything is top of the line. I'm just saying, Dr. Blake.
We
hey,
appreciate
look, and I'm and I'm drinking more than the 64 ounces of water you told me to drink every day. I'm on that.
Stay hydrated. God bless.
Thank you so much,
I'm
Jacob.
just saying, and don't lose your practice, whatever you got to do, Doctor.
Oh, I know. I'm getting ready to go to him, and only to hear he's only taking Medicare starting tomorrow. Oh, good blood.
Well, thank you.
Dr. Blake, let me ask you this. What is the thing about drinking water?
Dehydration is a very common problem, and everybody's body as an adult requires for proper hydration for normal physiological activities to take place. Needs 64 ounces of water per day. But most people don't come anywhere near. So when you come to my practice, one of the things I reiterate is the need to stay hydrated, not just for senior citizens during the summertime when they're at a very high risk for death, but we need to stay hydrated 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
Just like we focus on watering our plants or watering our flowers and gardens, our bodies are equally in need of being adequately hydrated daily.
You have just been a treasure trove of great information. Let me get Cynthia from Lansdowne. Cynthia, you there?
Hi, Andrea.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, Dr. Blake is my doctor.
Hello.
I was like just trying to get through just to say, look, he is, first of all, he is just a doctor among doctors. Okay, that's number one. Number two, his practice is, I mean, you know what? It's top notch. It's top notch. He's just a wonderful doctor. And then on top of it, he gives you the word. He don't even care where you came from or what he gives you the word to gear you up.
God bless.
That's the other thing. But the one thing I wanted to say is that they wait too long to do a colonoscopy. You know, it's the age of 50 when they decide that you need to have a colonoscopy.
I'm hearing a noise background, Cynthia.
I don't have nothing on. I'm in the car and everything's on.
Okay, go ahead, Cynthia.
But at the age of 50 is when they say that you have to have a colonoscopy. Okay, Chadwick was 43, the same age as my daughter. That's too late. So do you understand, like, who made that fantastic number of 50 is the age that you're supposed to start taking a colonoscopy?
Well, Cynthia, it's been low to 45.
That's still too late.
You're right. 2009 for African Americans was modified, and finally, the American Cancer Society stopped blocking African Americans at 45 and agreed to approve 45 for African Americans. But they didn't stop there. The American Cancer Society said, well, look, since there's an increased occurrence of colon cancer, regardless of the race or gender, we recommend it's 45 for everybody.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it needs to be. It needs to be. Because you get polyps, it's a prevention. That's what I'm saying. But anyway, I just called to tell you, Dr. Blake, I love you. I tell you, okay?
God bless you.
Andrea, keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, honey. Thank you. Dr. Blake, it's so interesting. I got you in at the very last second, and now you see your works are following you, right? People are calling in, talking about how wonderful you are. I'm going to have to figure out how to pay you out of pocket and fight with my insurance company.
Well, we make it very affordable.
Okay, because I need to get a colonoscopy done, and I'm probably going to use myself as an example to get people to get out into the streets and get these colonoscopies done, right?
Sounds like a winner.
Yeah, I have to, Dr. Blake, because I watched this thing. I watched people crying, and, folks are so afraid. I actually said to a good friend of mine, I said, did you get your colonoscopy done? She said, nope. And she's 61, 62, right? I'm 51. And
I just did a 70-year-old individual this morning, and I have a few more people to go back to do
yes.
this afternoon. But 70, first colonoscopy.
Oh.
So many people out here that do not have to die if they only come in and have a colonoscopy.
Let me tell you, you don't have to tell me twice. How can people reach you, sir?
215-849-4902. You can find us on the web at www.jsblake.com.
Okay.
jblake.com.
jblake.com. You know, somebody else just called in, Dr. Blake. You've got people really concerned, and I love it. I love that you are able to talk to folks and get them to the place. Who was it? Who was it, Mike?
Jeff. Sorry?
Jeff from Clifton.
From North Philly.
Okay, all right, Jeff. Let me do Jeff first. Jeff, are you there? Quickly, because the doctor has to go. How are you, sir?
How are you? I'm the first time call. Let me turn my radio down.
Oh, thank you.
This is my first time calling, and I really originally wanted to call about the why do black men go for Donald Trump thing.
Yes.
I don't know if you would let me say that, but I want to first say one thing while the doctor's on the line.
Mm-hmm.
What about Cologuard? A lot of young black men, and myself included, that's why I called, fear going to get the colonoscopy because of the invasiveness of the examination. So can you start with the Cologuard, get the prescription?
Yes, you can. The sensitivity and specificity doesn't compare to a colonoscopy, but it's better than nothing. And you have to be of a certain age, 45 up to 85, I believe, for the Cologuard.
Mm-hmm.
If there's rectal bleeding, a black bowel movement, severe diarrhea, constipation, the Cologuard is not recommended. It's a colonoscopy.
Okay.
But some insurances will pay and some insurances will not. But it's a matter of you having to deal with your individual insurance to determine. But if you're not 45, straight from the door, they're not going to pay for it.
All right.
Okay.
So, young man, do me a favor. Can you call me back after this break? I want to talk to you about the other thing. Okay? So call back, okay? All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Let me take Heidi real quickly. Heidi, you're the last one.
Then I might have to really.
And he has to go. Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Andrea. Hi, Dr. Blake. This is Miss Hattie, and I just had to put my 2 cents. I was driving, and I pulled over, and I just want everybody to know who might be afraid to get the colonoscopy that Dr. Blake is very professional. His whole office is professional, and they'll put you at ease, and they do an excellent job, and you won't even feel it. You won't even feel it. When you wake up, it'll be over, and you'll be wondering, well, when is it going to start? Well, he's done.
That's true.
Oh, well, Dr. Blake, listen.
And that's all I wanted to say, because I had to pull over, because this man is excellent.
All right. Thank you
very much.
so much, Dr. Blake. You called in at the very last second. I so appreciate your doing this between your clients.
No problem.
You've helped quite a few of us, myself included. I will be calling your office, and then we'll continue the conversation, okay?
God bless you all.
Oh, God bless you, too. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. Is it Ann? No, Ann, are you there?
Yes, I am. I held on. Everything they say about him, too, but one thing he forgot to mention. If you can't drink the prep, he has another method where you don't have to drink the prep and clean your system out and everything, and you can get it done the same day. He forgot to mention that. So he'll probably call in. If you can't drink the prep, he has another method for you to take the colonoscopy.
God bless him.
That's
You know,
what we're gonna do.
can I tell you this, Ann? I literally, this was at midnight, having this conversation with folks about who should I call. Dr. Archer Major called his office this morning and said, my friend needs to talk to you on the radio. In between his clients, Dr. Blake called me.
Yes. I'm just letting people know, there's no excuse for it. You cannot drink the prep. They have another way of cleaning your system out.
Okay.
They show you everything, on the screen and everything, how it's done and everything. And like Miss Hattie said, and listen, when you wake up, you think you've been for a long time getting ready to go.
Yes,
but
he was done.
He was finished.
Okay.
So now, people can be crazy if they want to.
All right. Well, I think he's convinced quite a few people to go in, and you all have been his little soldiers, letting folks know that it don't feel anything. You wake up, you're perfectly fine. Thank you so much, Miss Ann. Have a good one, okay?
You too.
All right. I got to take a quick break, and then I'll get to the next person. You are listening to The Source. Thank you, Dr. Blake, from the bottom of my heart. That That was a last-minute thing, and you did it beautifully, and you helped so many of us, and ended up having patients call in. So clearly you know what you're doing. But for those of you who have heard of Chadwick Boseman dying of colorectal cancer at age of 43, please go get colonoscopy done. The age has been dropped to 45 for African Americans. If you have symptoms before that, he said there's been an uptick in the ages of 18 to 35 young people, and they believe it is stress, y'all. Stress. I keep telling y'all, stop stressing yourselves out. I'll be right back. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is a number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
The Murray Report. Bringing you the latest in sports news and opinions. Hosted by Chris Murray. Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Right here on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WordRadio.com and on the Word Radio app.
You may be eligible for up to $800 to pay your PECO electric or natural gas bill through the LIHEAP Crisis Recovery Program. But you must act fast. The program closes on August 31st. If you need help paying your utility bill due to the COVID-19 public health crisis, visit PECO.com/LIHEAP or call the PECO LIHEAP hotline at 1-800-34-HELP-4.
You're listening to The Source
on Word Radio.
96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Source. I am, poor Mike. Mike is like, the phones have been lighting up. You know, on this radio show, and I tell you guys this all the time, if you listen to me, you will hear me talk about things that are going to support you, give you good information. I'm about our lives, y'all. I don't have time for the step it and fetch it. I don't have time for the emotional rhetoric. I don't have time for any of those things. We literally on borrowed time over here. I don't know how many lives we probably saved today just from having Dr. Blake on talking about getting your colonoscopies done, and that it is not a difficult process and that it can save your life, right? There's an uptick of 18 to 35-year-olds that are getting colon cancer and dying from it, y'all, dying from it. And so between the stress, I talked to Dr. Major last night and this morning, it's stress, it's our diet, it's what we're putting in our systems, you know, all those things make a difference. And so I'm trying to help save our lives. It's nice that we want to talk about Wakanda and the Black Panther and what that has done, but for me, for Dr. Major and myself, bless her heart, it was very, very important that we talk about getting tested. It's very, very important to talk about what the symptoms are. Dr. Blake talked about those symptoms. He said, even if there's a drop of blood in your stool, go get it checked. Constipation, diarrhea, sudden weight loss that you're not trying to lose weight for. And if you're over the age of 40, under the age of 45 and you're having these symptoms, he said a good gastroenterologist will make sure you get checked. Here's my other thing, the other tip that I'm going to leave for you, y'all. If you go to a doctor and they dismiss you, go find another doctor. Okay? We have to learn as a people to start firing doctors when they don't do what they're supposed to do and they dismiss our symptoms. I can't even tell you. Listen, my doctors are like American Express. Don't leave home without them. I will fire you in a minute because I don't have time for the foolishness. Look at this. Lord have mercy. Rob from North Philly, line 1. Here we go. Rob?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. I'm also a former Dr. Blake customer.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, he is really good. And the one thing you got to understand, and this is to all the people who have a problem squeamish about the examination, it's even more comfortable to walk around with a colostomy bag or to have your rib get cut as a result of colon cancer.
Wow.
So think about that in comparison to an examination.
Yes.
It's really painless and not as inconvenient.
Yes.
But I actually called to comment on what you were talking about earlier, Trump supporters that are black. And one thing we got to understand is ignorance is common, not sense. We assume that sense is common. We keep saying common sense. That's not common. Common is ignorance. And one thing about ignorance is contagious. And when you get it around a lot of people, and people who don't do any research, read, or study their history, it spreads like a virus.
Yes.
And most of these people who are getting involved in this here push for Trump have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, you can always say, oh, Democrats haven't did anything else, haven't did anything for me, but this guy's been in office almost first 4 years. What has he done for you?
And we're dying, and we keep getting killed, and he's not addressing the issues as it applies to us. So why are 24% of black men voting for Donald Trump? I just have a question. I just want to know, when black men are the ones that we're lifting up in the streets that are constantly dying, why are we looking at a poll that says 24% of black men intend to vote for this president? That's all I want to know. Thank you so much, Rob, for calling. I appreciate it, man, because I got a full roster going on here. Jeff, Clifton Heights. Jeff, are you there?
Yes, I'm still here. I was holding on. One quick thing about the doctor, and then I'll go to the question, the second question about Trump. Be sure to give people a telephone number so they can make an appointment.
We did. We gave the phone. So it's 215-849-4902.
Okay, thank you.
You're quite welcome.
I'm 58 years old. I'm not as young as you might have thought I was. I grew up in Alabama, okay, in the Jim Crow era. I was right there at the civil rights when it was happening. Okay. What the most of the black men don't know, especially if they live in the inner cities, is they can't distinguish between Democrat and liberal. Malcolm X spoke to this. It's not liberals, it's not Democrats versus Republican that's the problem when it comes to race. It's liberals versus conservatives. The conservatives were in the Democratic Party, and that's why they voted for slavery. That's why it kept us on the plantation. That's why they did the Jim Crow. They are no longer in the Democratic Party. They switched over to the Republican Party during the 60s when I was around, after John F. Kennedy was elected. They went droves over. So you are actually following the plantation over to the Republicans. When you vote Republican, you're following the plantation because you're following the conservatives. Donald Trump is a conservative. He's highly racist. I can spot him a mile away because I grew up around them. Okay. So the thing is, this is the reason that the reverends are doing it, the reason the evangelicals are doing it, is because this is something sent by God. This man is of Satan, and he is here to deceive the church first, because they were supposed to be the light of the world. Okay? If they get deceived and off track, everybody else will follow. So that's what's happening. It's a spiritual matter that's happening that these people are not, the ordinary black men are not aware of. And so it's a propaganda that they put out there online that you need to vote for Republican because the Republicans were the ones that freed the slaves. They were not.
Jesus.
It was the liberals, northern liberal Republicans, that freed the slaves. The southern conservative Republicans, who are now filling up the slave states, Alabama always votes Republican. It's because they're voting conservative, not Republican. So they're actually going with the trickery propaganda towards Trump because they're using it. I see it everywhere online and social media that the Republicans were the party of Abraham Lincoln. Even Abraham Lincoln was a white supremacist, but they don't know their history in detail. I was an A student in American history when I was in Alabama growing up. I graduated highest honors. They don't know the details, and they're using that against our people to make us vote for their party. And that's what the young, so we need to spread the word among our young African-American men because they are actually voting for the slave owners, with the slave owners. They're not voting against them. And if they want to get away from the Democratic Party, they do have an option after Joe Biden is elected. What they can do is vote the independent party. Martin Luther King was an independent. They can vote the independent party of the United States of America. We need to start shifting to parties outside of the two-party system. That's what's keeping us hostage in Philadelphia and everywhere else, is we're addicted to one party or the other. You don't have to do that. You can vote the independent party of the United States of America.
All right. Thank you so much,
Jeff. I just want to get that out of there.
Thank you. I fully appreciate it because I got a bunch of other people on the line. I just want to make sure I get them in. But thank you for that explanation. We fully appreciate it, okay?
Thank you for having me.
All right. All right. Bye-bye. ABCT Southwest?
Yes, how are you?
I'm good. Your name's actually ABCT?
No, it's Angry Black Conspiracy Theorist, but...
You better go on with it. Oh, it's about to be on and popping now.
That's right. Well, I want to share something with you. First of all, I don't trust them polls anything that they do, because what they do is they work to try to disrupt any momentum that people have. I'm black. I'm not voting Trump, so I'm moving past that. But on the colon cancer, I had symptoms when I was in my 30s, and I want everybody to know that there's a pain that comes in your left side, right below your belly button, and it just gets worse and worse. You cannot tighten a belt. So after me forcing my doctor to give me my exam, once he got the exam, I had diverticulitis, mini pulps. I then had 5 inches or 6 inches of my colon removed.
Right.
I had to wear a colostomy bag, but I had to have the poison sucked out of my body through a hose or something that connected to me.
Right.
So if anyone has any stress, you just lost a family member. I lost my mother, my father. Family and friends were shot and killed. I worked out regularly. I ate great. I'm like, what's going on?
Right.
It's the stress. So I just want to share that.
Yes.
It's a good work. Great show.
All right, Angry Black Conspiracy Theorist, you stay with me for a second. You hung up on my brother. Call back, please. Did you hang up on my brother? Mike hung up on you. Call back, sir. Call back, ABCT. Rick from Germany, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
How are you?
ABCT number 2.
The Angry Black Conspiracy Theorist. Listen, what can I do for you, sir?
I just want to say, I don't know what Chadwick Boseman was eating.
Yes.
But poisoning people and poisoning the food supply is there in the Bible, Old Testament and New Testament, once you figure it out. Jesus talked about the wheat and the tares. So poisoning the plants in the field is New Testament lingo. And white people, white Masonic supremacists have been aware of that since the 1830s. By 1950, they were in control of the food supply and where it goes to what supermarket. You know, so people really need to think about what they're putting in their mouth, where it comes from, and Lord, audience, think about the meat.
Come on, Rick. Come on, Rick. So people look at how cheap the meat is in the supermarket, and when you really read all the stuff that they put in the meat to keep it fresh, they're killing us.
Yes, ma'am.
It's too much.
I think if people reduced the amount of meat they were taking in, those colonoscopies would come back on a more positive level when they get that first time.
Right.
They wouldn't be shocked with cancer diagnosis the first time out.
Right. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rick. I really appreciate your calling in ABCT number 2. Bye-bye, sir. All right, ABCT, you're back.
Yes, hello.
He gonna hang up on us. You see?
That's all right.
See how they treat us?
That's all right. You know, you have to get your callers in.
So listen, I had a question for you because I every Monday I'm working on this segment called Our Traumas Are Killing Us. Dr. Blake, when he got on the line, said the 18 to 35-year-olds are on quite an uptick with colon cancer, and it's killing them, and he believes it's stress. You see what's going on around us in the country. How can we, I feel like if it's not one thing, it's another thing, right? Like there's so much going on. My 28-year-old son called me this morning. He says, Mom, I am stressed. I just don't know. So much going on around me. I wake up sad for no reason, you know, and I'm talking to my child, and because I understand what the triggers are, right? All the stuff that's going on around in the country right now. What can we say to our people to get them to a place where we treat each other with kindness, because there's so much going on right now?
Well, what I have done, and I've been doing for years, first thing is when I take children into my home and teach them physical therapy, whatever it is that they need, reading comprehension, firearm proficiency, is I tell them you need an affirmation.
Yes.
My affirmation is I am a magnificent human being. I am without equal in all of creation. My mind and my body is magnificently constructed that not even the greatest feats of engineering could ever duplicate my uniqueness. I will dwell in my higher self, and I will make those around me better, and I will be closer to God. And physical activity. You keep your mind and body focused and continually moving, once in motion, like inertia, always in motion. And you find a way to exhaust it. Get a punching bag, get a stationary bicycle. You burn all of that hate, all of the stuff that they're trying to program us with on TV. Turn the TV off. Listen to some radiating music. Find a reason to smile.
Okay, so let me say this to you. I don't know why I subliminally knew this, but I knew I had to ask you this question. So I listen to meditative music going to bed. So I turn off, I don't even watch television. My husband, I just don't watch it, right? But I find some meditation music, 8 hours worth of meditation. I put that on before I go to sleep. I have literally cycled myself into a smaller size, right? Because for me, I have to absorb the news every day so that I can bring it here on the radio to talk to all of you. And it was getting to me, right? So I started hiking up steep mountains and getting on the bicycle and riding 26 miles a day. That's been helpful. And the affirmations, everything you just told me is everything that I am doing that has kept me sane in the middle of this diggity dang craziness that's going on in this country.
You are on the right path. And I'm going to add one thing that a lot of people have forgotten. Bring up those around you, because everyone else cannot cope. So you have to lend support. And that means even the people you don't want to, those are the people who really need it. And that means going by, knocking on their doors, bringing groceries to them. I've been doing it since this pandemic. I've been doing what I need to do to keep the children focused and believing into tomorrow. Trying to get these millennials to understand what it is that they need to do. And, right now with this rhetoric that they have going back and forth with Biden sticking his foot in his mouth and that other orange guy doing this other stuff, it's just trying to tear down the psyche. They're psychologically branding and messing up the minds of people.
But here's the other thing. For the people who are not strong in mind and weak in body, because they've had all the wrong things in their bodies, right? Through no fault of their own, because we have food deserts everywhere in this city.
Very good.
I agree with you. So I teach a cooking class every 2 weeks. And instead of keeping the food in my house, I give it away. So last week, this past Saturday, it was a Jamaican dish called escovitch. And I made 25 fish and gave them all away, right? Yeah. And I consistently do that to people who are just, they're great folks who are just facing all kinds of stress in their lives. And I'll randomly text them or randomly call them, or I'll carry fish in my bag when I go for my hike and I say, you want a fish?
You know what? You are ahead of yourself because you have that connection that I have. I tend to know when people need something before I stop by their house.
Yeah.
I'll wake up. Something pops in my head, their name pops afterwards. I have a picture of them. I go to the store, I bring it. They are amazed.
Yep.
So you are on the right path.
Yep. And it's really just being socially conscious and mentally, your brain is mentally clear so that you're not clogged up with all the foolishness that's going on around you. So every day that I'm on the air, every day that I write my pieces for the Philadelphia Sunday Sun or whoever asked me to write for them, it's the feeling of what am I giving to the people? Am I feeding them something that will elevate their thought processes and clear their heads and give them something for their soul, or am I spreading rumor and conjecture? And you know what I mean? Like
I'm going to tell you what you're doing. Just trust the Almighty.
Yep.
And you cannot go wrong.
You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Thank you so much. I knew there was a reason that I wanted to keep talking to you. You take it easy, okay?
You too. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, hang up now. Mike and I, you are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
He was the heart of your family, and he taught you our history. He helped you fix your first flat. He was the best backyard DJ around, and every time he'd tell a story, he'd own the room. But now more than ever, he may feel alone. Today, older adults and their loved ones are struggling to connect, in a time when connection has never been more important. But there is something we can do. Embrace our older loved ones through StoryCorps Connect. With StoryCorps Connect, you can honor seniors remotely with an interview about their life. Every interview will be archived at the Library of Congress, becoming part of American history, so that years from now, future generations can listen in.
All right, Grandpa, what's one piece of advice you have for me?
Just 3 words, sweetheart. Live with courage.
The man that had the best stories still has plenty of stories to tell. So connect virtually and share the conversation of a lifetime at StoryCorps Connect.org/AARP. Connect, honor, share. StoryCorps Connect. A message from AARP, StoryCorps, and the Ad Council.
In the fight against COVID-19, we are grateful to those treating disease on the front lines every day. This is Lorena Marshall-Blake, Vice President of Community Affairs at Independence Blue Cross, reminding us that there are also others keeping us strong and healthy. In our neighborhoods and communities, we see essential workers in post offices, sanitation, and public transportation. Still others in food markets, delivery services, restaurant takeout, and more. Throughout the region, volunteers are organizing food donations, assisting those in need, and arranging safe visits and connection for the underserved and seniors. Neighbors, all essential for our physical and mental well-being in this challenging time. For more, visit ibx.com/COVID-19. Together, they are helping us to beat COVID-19.
You're listening to The Source
on Word Radio.
96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. I guess the phone lines are continuing to light up on Mondays from 2:21 to 3 p.m. I am literally just sitting here having conversations with my people. Because our traumas are killing us. They're literally killing us. There's so many things going on around us, and I want us to be healthy and hardy. And so I want us to practice kindness in all ways that we possibly can, and to remove ourselves of negativity, right? So if you're around people that are negative, you want to remove yourself from that sphere. You really, at this juncture in our lives, with everything that's going on in the country, you want to pay attention to who and what is around you, right? And what you're absorbing into your psyche, because it all matters. It all matters. It's a shame that Chadwick Boseman had to die at the age of 43 for us to get to this point. But I'm telling you, go get those colonoscopies done. Dr. Blake says that he'll make it reasonable. He's not taking anything but Medicare starting tomorrow. I am going to pay out of pocket just to go see him because he called in on a whim. I have Dr. Ayla Stanford calling in on Thursday. I tried to get the health commissioner of Philadelphia to call in here. No one's responded. I believe Brianna called and they sent her to the communications people. I don't want to talk to the communications people. I want to talk to the health commissioner, right? These are things, the comorbidities, the fact that we don't have the right amount of the kinds of food in our that we can buy at a reasonable price that is healthy for us, right? We have got to do better. There's got to be more holistic ways. And I really want those of us who have the wherewithal to find the more holistic ways to eat, to share, right? Not to look down on people and not to say, well, you can do this and you can do that. Doing this and doing that costs something, right? And not everybody's able to afford it. So how can you turn around and use what you have to help and support other people? That's where I'm standing on all of this. Steve from Hainesport, New Jersey, are you there?
Yes, Ms. Sanders. Thanks for taking my call.
Oh, you're quite welcome, sir. What can I do for you?
I'm a first-time caller to your show.
Oh, well, thank you for being a first-time caller. I'm going to have T-shirts or something for you guys.
Okay, but listen, you hit a topic that should have been hit a long time ago when you asked about who's supporting Donald Trump.
Yes.
But see, the question is you didn't ask why there was...
That's why I did ask why. I said, somebody tell me why.
Okay, I didn't catch that part.
Yep.
Well, let me say this real quick. I've never voted for a Democrat in my life, but there was one who I did say I would vote for on this show. I'll tell you who it is. Miss Waters in California. I said, if Maxine Waters comes to California, I would campaign for her here in Jersey. In Jersey. I like Miss Waters, and I know she's for our people. Very great leader. That's probably one of the best leaders I think there is in Congress as far as black people are concerned. Now, let me get to my main point here. The main thing about why people are supporting a president is more or less economics maybe some social programs or something.
Uh-huh.
And I see that as being the main thing. Now, for me, I'll tell you the truth right now. I have a lot of money invested in oil, coal stocks. Do you think I'm going to vote for a Democrat who's going to tell me he's going to get rid of that and drive all my retirement money down? I don't think so.
Got
It's
you.
not going to happen.
Got you. Thank you for your honesty.
Right,
I
you
appreciate
understand
it.
what I'm saying. I got to look out for my welfare here. And I'm not trying to say I'm out here trying to destroy the planet or anything. I mean, this is something that they should have thought about a long time ago. And another thing, I heard, what was her name, Mrs. Warren, when she ran for president.
Yes.
Somebody asked her a question, well, Miss Warren, you want to get rid of all the fossil fuels, what are we going to do in Texas? And she'll say, well, when we get there, we'll come to that. I was like, okay, well, you won't get a vote from me or anybody else.
Right.
That's the stupidest thing you can say.
Right.
But anyway, consider it like this here. I'm gonna go on this here. Du Bois and Garvey. Remember, we had two issues in the black thought back in the 30s, 40s. Some people supported Du Bois. Some people supported Garvey. Those who supported Garvey, who I think possibly is the greatest black man who walked the earth in 1,000 years. I don't know anybody better than him. He said, black people, we have to get our economics together. Du Bois wasn't talking that. Du Bois was talking about, well, let's just try to integrate. Now you understand where I'm coming from with this Republican-Democrat thing. Yeah, Donald Trump's a racist. I know he's a racist. You think Biden's not a racist? Come on now. They're racist too now.
I hear you.
Let's just not point one person out as being a racist. But anyway, thanks for taking my call.
Oh, thank you for calling, and thank you for giving me an idea of why black men are voting for Donald Trump. I appreciate your call, okay? All right, bye-bye. Jeff, Clifton Heights. Jeff?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. You wanted to talk about why black men are voting for Trump?
Yes, you had me on earlier.
Yes.
And you said that they hung up on me. The thing is, with Trump, is yes, some of the black men might be voting economically. I just heard the gentleman that came on prior to you. But the thing is this is why I cannot do it. I would eat glass before I could vote for that guy. And I'll tell you why. Like I said, I've come from Alabama. I've experienced a lot of stuff. And I in fact, I was born just near where Representative John Lewis was born. So I know these things, and the same things that he knew. And the problem is, if you live in the inner cities, for instance, like in inner city Philadelphia, and you're dealing with gun violence and all those things under the Democratic rule, what you can always do is you can pack up and leave. You can go somewhere else. But you can never get out from under the authority of white police officers. And wherever you go in the nation, you're going to go with your black skin, and there's going to be white police officers there. If they are shooting us indiscriminately, coming into our homes, executing us, because these things closely happen to me and my family, and I'm a master's degree person. I'm a very upstanding person. It doesn't matter who you are, so you can't escape it. So you have to. The conservatives are the ones. If you listen to conservative radio and to conservative evangelical ministries like Jerry Swaggart Ministries, I listen to them every day. You will see what they think. They look at us as very dangerous. So Donald Trump is playing them for power and narcissistic control over this nation. He wants to really rule the world, pretty much. I mean, that's been a fantasy of him since he was a kid. I mean, so. And even his relatives are talking about that.
Right.
So when you kill a black man, you kill the nation because the black man is in the loins of every black male.
Yes.
So you hit him first, and you hit the head of the entire black nation because that's the same way with Adam. Satan came after Adam because all of us were in Adam.
Right.
Therefore, if you could get Adam to sin, all of us are sinning simultaneously.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Jeff. I have got more people on the line, and so I got to get thank you so much, though. I appreciate your calling back.
Tell them to think liberal instead of conservative.
Think liberal instead of conservative. Okay, thank you so much, sir. All right, bye-bye. Kevin, are you there?
Yes, hello. Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you so much for waiting. What can I do for you?
Great one. I want to talk about water. Now, you said you take more than 64 ounces of water a day. Is that correct?
That's what Dr. Blake was saying, that the average person should drink at least 64 ounces.
So let's break it down for the folks, because some people don't like water, they can't stand water, but they want to be healthy. So if you drink one bottle of water, which is 16 ounces, right? And then you drink another one that's 32. Then you drink another one. Okay, I'm outside, so you can't hear me. What? Okay, so 16 and 16 is 32, right? And 32 and 32 is 64. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
So we can drink one in the morning, early in the morning, which is very good for you because it helps to get things moving in your body, like your bowels, right? And then in the afternoon, early afternoon, and then one early evening, and then one late evening. Why late evening? Because it'll get you up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. That is very important because that helps your heart to continue with a steady beat. A lot of people don't like to get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. And for those who can drink water, I'm sorry, there's the traffic. For those who just can't drink normal water, put a little something in it like lemon.
Yes.
Lemon is very good for the body. It's a cleanser. So that's what I wanted to say about water.
Thank you so much, Kevin. I really appreciate your calling in, okay?
Okay.
All right, bye-bye. Lynn from Darby, you all have lit up. I have sheets and sheets of people calling in here. Lynn, how are you, honey?
Hey, Mama.
Hi, darling. How are you?
Oh, my daughter Indigo says hi. Listen.
Hi, Indigo.
You are rocking that outfit. And let me tell you something. The last caller, if he listens to Dr. Paul, you're not supposed to be drinking no water after 7 8. You're going to that bathroom all night long. I can't be going to no bathroom at my age. I'm in my late 50s, mother. But let me tell you, Dr. Blake, he is an angel. You know, he comes on Word once a month, and he is so educated. He's telling us about what he specializes in, our colon and everything. And he, like the lady said, he talks the Word, and then he gives you history. I think he knew Medgar Evans.
Wow.
I really do, yeah, because one of his shows he was talking about it. But he is so educated, and I don't live up that way, but I encourage everybody to go to him.
Listen, Lynn, Mother's going to him. Do you understand me? Mother is going to him. Out of pocket.
I'm telling you, you're going to be Superwoman after this.
All right now.
And that guy, I'm gonna tell you why these black men are horrible, because they're putting money in front of being true to their race. That they must didn't see Black Panther. And I am so disappointed at them. How can you always change his style?
Yeah.
How can he put money in front of that? This man is evil. He is doing the black race horribly. We have to get rid of him. Rid. And he has to love his people and himself more. And that's all I have to say. I'm getting ready to pop a vessel.
All right. Well, Lynn, thank you so much for calling, honey. And Indigo, how old is Indigo?
23. She's going to be under your mentorship one day. You see her at all the demonstrations in the parks and everything.
Oh.
She really does you, mother. She really does.
Oh, Indigo.
I'm going to come see you soon.
Yes, Indigo.
She's getting ready to graduate with her associates at community college.
Yes,
I'm so
honey.
proud of her. Studying media communication.
You better go on with it, Indigo. You know Mother is so proud of you. I love the young people. I love the young people.
I'm getting her out here and involved. She has to fight for her community,
yes,
her race, and I just want, she's a very, very, very smart young lady.
Yes.
I'm very proud of her.
Thank you so much. You both made my day. Have a good one, okay?
Okay, you too, Bob.
All right, bye-bye. Bye-bye. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Fridays, it's right here on Word Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with Daybreak, hosted by Halana. At 7, it's time to wake up with Word, with host Solomon Jones. Then at 10, it's a special edition of The Source with Tiffany Bacon, followed by Groundings at 1 p.m., hosted by Brothers Shamari. At 4 p.m., it's Laborers Live, hosted by Lessit. Then at 5, it's Solutions on Word. At 7 p.m., it's the Envy McKee Show. Then at 10, it's Freedom Sounds of Jazz, followed up by Messages in the Music, hosted by Joey Temple. Fridays are something special on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations, because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
Our right to vote and to make our voices heard was a fight that's taken decades of struggle. That fight was brought to life by heroes like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and John Lewis. That fight was shaped by events such as the March on Washington, the Montgomery bus boycott, and the standoff at the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Now, some are telling us that it's unsafe to vote by mail, that it's a fraud. These are lies. We've come too far to let the clock be turned back now. Our voices will be heard and our votes will count and be counted. Get your absentee ballot today. Mail it in or drop it off as soon as you can. Vote early to make sure that our voices are heard. Remember, our vote counts only if our vote is counted. Go to projectyellowstone.us and click on your state to find out how to vote today. Paid for by Project Yellowstone.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Home of the Happy Hour. With Sincerely Sarita. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. Mike is over here trying to make sure I don't lose my mind. We have now on the line Dr. Claudio Cerullo, brings over 23 years of, I want to make sure that I pronounced his name properly, of professional experience in the field of education, and is extremely active in addressing the great need for anti-bullying awareness and prevention nationwide as a result of parents asking him to help students that are being impacted academically, socially, and emotionally by this silent threat. Dr. Cerullo founded Teach Anti-Bullying Incorporated in an effort to further help raise awareness about what bullying really is and how, along with school violence and racial profiling, can be prevented. I can't wait to have this conversation. Dr. Cerullo, are you there?
Good afternoon, and you can simply call me Dr. C. It's just fine with me. Dr.
C, I'll take it.
That's it. Good to be on the show. Good to meet you.
Oh, thank you so much, sir. Welcome to The Source. You know, you're perfect for this because education is one of my major platforms. And, you know, we've kind of danced around bullying and what it looks like. So I really want you to talk to the WURD audience now about why you have this organization and what does bullying look like in today's language.
Well, look, this is not, bullying's been around for many, many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, as we can imagine, and now in this virtual mess that we're in, from a cyber realm, it's going to get worse. And we're just now entering this world of virtual education. But the concept of bullying became a tagline for us in 2006, right? When CNN finally said they were looking at case studies, and there was a young lady who took her life. Her name was Phoebe Prince, to cyberbullying, and all of a sudden it took off. And now everybody tags something as bullying, and we have to clearly define what it is and what it isn't. In any public school or work setting, and let's be realistic, I often talk about bullying as a tagline, but it is certainly synonymous with domestic violence, child abuse, child molestation, and elderly victimization. And anytime someone is a victim of ongoing assessments and an imbalance of power, they become a victim of some type of bullying classification. I think that right now, when you're looking at racial profile, okay, and when someone stands idle as someone is being detained or unlawfully detained or suffocated, and you have others just standing by, then you have an aspect of bullying by bystanders rather than reacting. They're part of the pervasive public health issue, whether it's adults in a community or certainly kids or even teachers in an educational setting. This has been growing. We've seen no decline in this pervasive public health issue over the last 13 years. And so certainly teachanti-bullying.org has been very instrumental in looking at the issue and looking at programming and looking and working within school-based communities to help address it. It is a national crisis, and it is ongoing.
So what kind of success have you had in doing this work? Can you cite some examples?
Sure. So, we, over the last, since inception in 2011, the organization itself has traveled to 33 states across the country, and we've addressed probably over 106,000 kids to date, with various aspects of issues that have occurred, and certainly many more locally within the Delaware Valley region. But here's the approach. The approach isn't just simply that someone comes into a school or work setting and they have an assembly or there's some professional development. You can't stop there. It's not a lecture. It's not just one program. It has to be ongoing. And that triangular approach involves the kids, the staff, the school, the community, and the parents. And that would be the same whether you're in an organization as well. Everyone in that leadership component or corporate or organizational structure has to have buy-in to the policy of inclusion, of equity, of diversity, of cultural competencies, all the things that right now we're exploring, racial profiling. We've been talking about this for how many years? I mean, you can go way, way, way before 1963 and certainly to present day, and we're still not getting it right in 2020. So again, it is ongoing education. And it is education, as you can imagine, from the White House to the outhouse. It's about leadership, and it's about understanding where people are coming from. It's bridging that cultural divide, right, between whatever ethnicity or race you come from, and perhaps our police department, our local, state, and federal officials, and you have that disparity. So when you have this disparity, you have conflict. And you have people who say, well, he's at fault, she's at fault. And then repetitively you have what's called a bullying situation. But without those components, it becomes isolated, and essentially somebody can come in and we can discuss it. We can do our program. But once we go away, what's the implementation process of it? What's the buy-in? And certainly in Pennsylvania, I've been working very hard right now with Representative Stephen Kinsey out of Germantown. We have a bill on the House floor, an anti-bullying bill, because in Pennsylvania we have no legislation, unlike New Jersey and Delaware. So part of it is giving it teeth and holding those perpetrators accountable for cyber crimes and certainly physical bullying within a school or corporate entity.
Yeah. I love it. You have clearly been at this for a long time. You're using every word, every structure that I would have used as a trainer myself. And so I can tell just from the conversation that I'm having with you that you're all in and that you're really looking at this. How do we get children to understand the dangers of bullying when we're surrounded by adults who are constantly bullying from the highest levels all the way down?
Well, and and that's a great question. And we see that, I was a youth football coach, and we see it from the sideline. We see how parents behave. We're entering the 2020 presidential election, and we're inundated by what children see. Who's bad? I honored a child about 18 months ago from a middle school in Delaware, and his name was Joshua Trump. You may have seen the story. Joshua Trump was victimized for 2 years in his middle school in Delaware for having the last name Trump. We honored the young man. The White House reached out to me. They invited Joshua to the Oval Office and to the State of the Union last January, and he sat next to the First Lady. And you had to ask yourself, you know, he was bullied. Why? Based on his last name. So there's that ridicule because of the popularity, certainly, or the following of our current president or the Republican Party or what have you. And unfortunately, it's the parent, it's the teachers, it's anyone who is associated with kids to set that example, to be the role model of again, inclusion, you know, that understanding where someone comes from, the cultural competencies, which we speak of these things, but are they truly applied? You know, we talk about all lives being important, but do people really take the time to truly understand who their peers are, who the kids play with? And then what are parents in the background or grandparents saying about other races? And this is where, unfortunately, it's a culture or a climate that unless we as people, as a society, look at ourselves and practice empathy, not empathy, nothing will change. You know, we'll just be the same after you and I are gone, and even worse because from a software and technology standpoint, things only get even better in terms of children and adults hurting each other, whether it's online or verbally.
Agreed. How can people reach you, Dr. C?
Very simply, 484-431-9711 is the organization's phone number, and certainly teachanti-bullying.org is the organization's website. And we, like I said, we welcome anyone to reach out to us who's having a problem or wants to discuss an issue or programming or assemblies or professional development, community-based rallies. I mean, we do it all, advocacy, but they're the two main sources of contact.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate your calling in. Dr. Claudio V. Cirillo, don't be a bystander. Empower others to be an upstander, keeping your school and community safe. A nationally recognized anti-bullying and anti-violence expert. He's a longtime educator and school administrator and the founder and CEO of Teach Anti-Bullying. Lord, you've been awarded many honors, proclamations, and citations for your anti-bullying education and research nationwide. I want to thank you so much for calling in to the source, and, you know, well, let's see what happens from here, because we continue to hear about bullying happening all over the place, and there will be people who will definitely look out to you, okay?
Thank you so very much.
Oh, thank you, too.
It's a pleasure. Please stay safe.
Yes, sir. You too. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye. Ooh, Lord. We have so much going on. Let me grab Alif.
Hello, Margaret and sister. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I enjoy your show very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate your show. But when I heard you say that 24% of the black men were going to vote for Trump, I mean, I knew a lot of black men hate black women, but I didn't know they hate them that much. I mean, that is...
Okay, Alif, all right. So since we've gotten there, Alif, let me have this conversation with you. Why do you think black men hate black women?
I don't know, man. I don't know that. I know some of it got to be because of, you know, I mean, like a lot of things that happen to black folks are like, you know, like some had mothers who was, was crack addicts. Some had mothers who was this. Some had mothers who was that, and different things. And I really don't know why they hate what they really do. I mean, if it's 24% is going to do this for this man, it ain't nothing about financials or nothing like that. I think people Donald Trump ain't financially helping nobody. So, you know what I mean? This is just a farce if anybody say that. This is just pure hatred, I believe. And
Alif, let me ask you this, Alif, because it's a conversation that I hear people whispering about, that there is a segment of black men who are just, they feel left out, they feel unheard, they feel like nobody cares about them, and then they feel black women have taken over, you know, and I see it on social media. I see when a sister will go on and make a comment and it rip her to shreds, like she didn't even, I was like, yo, Mother Earth here, we gave birth to you. You know, I don't get involved in the conversations, but I can literally pick the men on my social media, on my timeline, and go, wow, what is your issue with us? What is your issue particularly with black women? What is that about?
That's what I long to know. I really want to know that because, I mean, I don't understand the most precious thing on earth, and they hate it.
I don't get it. And I met in the 2016 election, I met a black woman who said that in her church she was told by her pastor that none of them are to vote for Hillary Clinton. Because a woman shouldn't have that. Like, I'm like, what? Breathe, Andrea, breathe.
Okay, well, that's about all I wanted to say today.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Donnell says hate is a strong word. So, Donnell, call us and, well, call me or talk to Mubba. You know Mubba. Thank you so much, Alif. I appreciate your calling in. Tell me what the word is, Don, because I had this conversation with my husband very recently. The phone number 215-634-8065. Call in and talk to Mubba. You know me well enough. And I said to him, we were talking about something or the other day. Oh, I was riding on my bicycle, doing my 26 miles. A white man rode up to me and says, I love your pants. I love your whole outfit. And I'm cracking up, and I said to him, I'll take it off and give it to you. And he started laughing, right? And he said, you have a great day. And he went away. So my husband says, you know, white men, young, older, and different, really enjoy talking to you. And he said, brothers are a little bit frightened of you. And I said, why? He said, they don't hate you. It's not that they hate you. They're just a little bit frightened of the empowerment that you carry with you. He said, and as a brother myself, he said, I love you and I appreciate you. He said, but I watch them. They're a little bit frightened of you. And I can't figure that out. There is nothing I wouldn't do for my brothers. Do you hear me? Nothing. Nothing on earth. I gave birth to 2 sons. You know, I'm married to a brother. My father is a black man. You know, my cousins are black men. My friends are black men. Like, what are we doing here? Why is this so weird? There's just this weird vibrational thing that's happening that I can't put my finger on, and I don't understand it. We stand in the gap for you, right? When you're being hung and shot in the back, we're out there in the streets talking about, you know, holding it down, trying to figure it out. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Somebody help me here. Carolyn from Winfield, how are you?
Fine. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What can I do for you?
Well, we're speaking of what we see on social media, but then it's indicative of being manipulated by the Russian bots or right-wing media and that type of thing.
Say more about that, Carolyn. What are you talking about?
Well, Donald Trump or the right wing have been masters of getting on air or using social media to manipulate populations.
Agreed.
And everything that we read, unless you are knowledgeable about propaganda.
Yes, I talked about it on my show last week. Yes.
Yes. So
yeah,
the reactions that people are having many times are reactions because they use social psychology, what they use for advertising, and you notice that 45 uses the repetition of different phenomena, different things, and people believe it because they aren't able to fact check.
Yes,
and they believe what he says is true. And that's the manner in which they've been doing it.
So, Carolyn,
it's well known.
So, Carolyn, let me say this to you. My apologies, because my brain moves faster sometimes than the people that are talking to me, and my apologies for interrupting you. Let me say that.
Right, of course.
I had a whole segment last week, Thursday, talking about this very thing, right? That there's
I
so much
see.
disinformation
Yes.
out here, and that it's so hard to keep up with the disinformation. So I have been encouraging people to not only fact check, but just check your sources, cite your sources, right? Because if it's just something that you saw on social media or something that was sent, they're even texting us with the propaganda, right? So there's a lot for people to have to disseminate. When I look on my social media pages, I'm looking at the folks that I know personally, that I have met, that I have spent time with, and I'm watching them soak up a lot of this bad stuff.
But may I say something?
Yes.
I have disconnected. I'm an elder.
Yes.
I'm going on 80, but I have disconnected from social media because I understand what they've been doing.
Yes.
And this isn't the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It's been over a period of time.
Yes.
And people are very vulnerable.
Yes.
Now, I think it was mentioned on one of the programs how 25% of the population, or especially the African American population in Philadelphia, may be illiterate. So people are easily manipulated as well. And when you speak in terms of misinformation, when we look at the newspapers and how the images are projected, we see in our music the image of the African American woman, as well as what has been done to deter or to interfere with the relationships, or from lack of establishing relationships because of jobs, and who has had those advantages or who have taken those advantages, because 80% of the teachers are not African American. They own most of everything, but we have to factor in those things. And I may have missed your program last week where you dealt with the disinformation, because over the years I've seen it, what they've been able to do. And on television, the images that have been projected, or in the newspapers, what's projected of African Americans. And we see this. And sometimes it sticks, but especially now. Because it has been, they put millions and millions of dollars
into it,
in that campaign. And that's why when it comes to DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, not even being able to, or saying that he will not report to the Congress people. We see what this man has done. And then the Congress, we can dispel the Senate, but they haven't been able to stop him. When they had an opportunity, they should have impeached him. But we can't deal with should, could, and those types of things because it's not reality at this point.
Yes, agreed.
But I don't want people to become discouraged. But we have to look within ourselves as individuals, and what do we do? Or thinking in terms of these men, their mothers, like you have said, their grandmothers, the people who have helped to sustain us through the years, many times have been women. But the women have to teach their sons and their grandsons how to treat women. And that isn't done. Rather than they're just being my baby and that type of thing. And many like that type of support from a woman. And then if a woman has a strong opinion or is intelligent, I remember when I was a young woman, and my father taught me that my opinions were important and that type of thing. But you meet men, you are castrating, you know what, okay? So we have that, and it has to do with how one views oneself, thinking in terms of men and their confidence. But you have to work at being a human being. You have to work and read, because what we learn mostly, we learn independently. It doesn't have to come from anyone else. You read, the information is out there.
Thank you so much. I fully appreciate your calling in today, okay?
And I've been appreciating listening to you.
Oh, thank you so much.
And the things that you have mentioned, and thinking in terms of the relationship between you and your husband. And then the way you have manner in which you take care of self. Because we do have a tendency to attempt to make everyone else happy but ourselves.
Yes, I take care of myself first. If I'm not a priority, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do all the other things that I'm doing.
Thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
My generation, we didn't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's everyone else, and when everyone's happy, we're happy. And it saps you. But we still have been strong and been able to do it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. You have a great afternoon,
And
okay?
you too, and thank you so very much
You're welcome.
for the things that you do
Thank
and the difference that you make. At least making people to think, making people think.
Thank you
Take
so
care
much.
and be safe.
Yes, ma'am. Have a good one.
You as well. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And this is why I do what I do. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Weather and traffic to keep you informed for your drive home in the happy hour with Sincerely Sarita. Monday through Thursday, 4 till 7 p.m. Right here on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on wordradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on wordradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk Media.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Source. I still have more phone calls. Rebecca, line 2. Rebecca, are you there?
Yes. Hi, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Listen, I'm going to comment on why black men, have a problem with strong black women. That's the problem. They have a problem with strong black women. They also they feel inferior to us.
But why? We love them. We protect them. We're always there for them.
Right, but I think that it's because from slavery, from that time, long time ago. And a lot of times it's not all black men, but a lot of them are L-A-Z-Y. They're lazy, and they get upset when you're not. And you accomplish goals that they may want to reach. But because you do it before they do it even, they get upset about that.
Right.
But basically, it's just that they have a problem with strong black women, and they have to learn to love themselves. And that's another problem. I think they have a problem with loving themselves.
So, Rebecca, I asked my husband a long time ago, how did you end up choosing me? He said, I was raised by strong black women. My mother, my aunts, everybody were just really strong. And he talks to them every Sunday, right? My husband will watch me climb in an F-16, run over here, run over there. But the thing that is so wonderful and steady about him is that he is so centered, right? He's got his own stuff going on, and he doesn't try to compete with me, and I don't try to compete with him. Right. And we love each other. That's a black man. There was nothing that I wouldn't do for him. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so for me, if we're loving on each other and treating each other well, what's the disconnect? He never once said to me, you can't or you shan't. If he thinks I'm going to be unsafe, he'll tell me. And if he tells me I'm unsafe, I'm sitting my butt down. My husband has never raised his voice to me. But if he says, Andrea, don't do that, I was like, okay, whatever. And people look at me like, oh, my God, how did he do that? I said, because he treats me well all the time. So he doesn't have to raise his voice to me, and he doesn't have to treat me like a park ape. He just talks to me well, and we get it moving, right? And so we've become an example, but I didn't realize how many people don't do that. Right?
Right. It's because evidently it's what whoever the man is, what he's seen before.
Yes.
What he's seen all his life.
Yeah.
How people treat women, how people treat his mom or his sister or his aunt, whatever.
Yeah.
But, I just pray for him because we love them.
Oh, we do. There is nothing. If a brother calls me today and says, Andrea, da-da-da-da-da-da, I look at my husband, he said, let's go. Because we're supposed to be here, each one for each other, right? And so I don't understand the vitriol, and I know some of this is disinformation, but I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. I have. I have. So, all right, Rebecca, thank you so much for calling in, my sister. You have a good one, okay?
God bless you.
God bless you, too. Bye-bye. Jay.
Hello?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
All right, how you doing?
I'm good. What can I do for you, sir?
Well, I think, first, I love black women.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I've had in my 60-something years on this earth with black women. Never had a white woman, don't have desire for one. But what I think the problem is that some black women don't understand there's a man's place and there's a woman's place. My place as a black man is to love you, protect you, and provide for you. And a lot of times when you meet some women, our women, they don't know their place. And
what does that mean, though, Jay? What does that mean when you say they don't know their place?
In the sense of, give you an example, we're out on the porch and someone comes up and starts arguing or whatever. It's my job to handle that.
Right.
And so you have some women that will want to interfere.
Oh.
You know, they want to get in with that.
Nope. No,
go,
sir.
Honey, go with the, just be still and let me handle it.
Yes.
And there's times when, you know, you have some, not all black women, not all, that will, when you get in a disagreement, they'll just stand right up in your face and waving their hands and neck. You don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And you know, if you're talking to them, and they'll just walk away while you're talking. So, and they're being very disrespectful.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Jay, that we have some work to do, right?
And I understand the problem because as black women, you guys handle a lot.
Yeah.
Because we as black men, we're not there. Not all of us, but a lot of us are not there to protect you. And when you're doing dual jobs, you're taking care of the kids and you're also being the man also, trying to raise boys. So I understand that when you do meet a good man, a good brother, you know, you don't know how to just let him handle the man's part.
Yeah,
and
Jay.
you handle the woman's part. So.
Yeah, thank you so much, my brother. So appreciate your calling in. All right, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Prince.
Hey.
Hey.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Man, I opened up a can of worms.
I don't even know why you did that. And Rebecca, tell Rebecca, I got a place where she can lead young millionaires. And I guarantee you they're going to respect her. They're going to treat her right.
Oh.
Millionaire is at the next level. So she ain't got to feel inferior that she blanket all black men with her opinions like that.
Yeah.
That is crazy. There's some really successful girl African American out here who know who they are.
Yes.
Accomplish what they need to accomplish. I mean, my congressman says from community college to Congress. And I'm like, yo, why was it from community college to Cheney or any HBCU? Like the thing about it is that we stopped uniting and taking care of each other. So now we can judge each other. So the need to judge each other, and that's the same person that's in the club that don't understand when the man send a whole bottle to the table, not a drink. He send a bottle to the table, and so what are you gonna say to that man? All you need to say is thank
you. Right.
That's it. You don't need to try to be more than what you are.
Yes.
And so I feel shame when they do that because some men has downsized. Some men have bought Nissan Altimas because they can't drive Bentleys through Philadelphia because they don't trust the relationships with the young ladies in Philadelphia.
Wow.
They're not willing to offer them a whole lot because the way they present themselves now and internet didn't do nothing but kill that relationship because now you on your phone, you ain't in no meaningful, this meal costs a lot of money. This is a nice restaurant.
Yeah.
What possibly you got on your phone that costs more than this $500 meal that you got?
Right.
And so the respect isn't there anymore, and I think to part...
Prince, let me ask you this. Do you think that is really just a lack of communication?
Yeah, because I think that the church has more to do with that because a lot of our African-American women run the church and believe in that pastor and serve that pastor opposed to having that relationship with their husband. So he'll watch football on Sunday and she'll run to the church. And so opposed to having that relationship where y'all both spiritually go somewhere and y'all both spiritually get fed, one is not getting fed and the other one's upset about that, and that breeds that content and lack of communication.
I'm
but
telling
I'm gonna hang
you.
up and listen to you.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for calling. Listen, this has been interesting, Gary.
Yes, hello. How are you?
Child, are you listening to these conversations?
That's why I had to call in. You know, I've been married to my wife, who I dearly love, for 26 years.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. When we started out, we both had professional positions.
Yes.
And I was making actually, you know, I was making more than her. You know, I'm the man of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, she worked for a major insurance company. She took off like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I was feeling some kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually was talking to a friend of mine that's a pastor, and we were laughing. He said, well, Gary, what's the problem? You're both one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when she gets a raise, you get a raise. That sounded for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was good.
Yep.
So when we had our first son, Andrea, she works way out in the suburbs, Horsham, way out above there somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
I work in Center City.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, sweetheart, I'm going to take him to daycare. It doesn't make sense for you to have to travel and navigate all through the city,
right,
and then get back to the group. I said, I'll take him. But that to be a joke. And then when they later went to preschool, they would say, wow, Mr. Bryant, do they have a mother? We never see the mother. And they started laughing because they all knew. I said, why should I make my wife do all that traveling all through the city? I'm working right in Center City.
Right.
And like I said, people would tease me and they call me Mr. Mom. Hey, as far as cleaning, cooking, and all that, I know how to do that, Andrea.
Yep.
At 8, 9, 10 years old. My mother worked in a hospital in housekeeping. I know how to sew, cook, clean, and sew then. We got married. I did all the cooking the first year. Then I kind of related back to my wife. But I still even cook now. My son's a grown young man.
Yes.
But I took a very active role because I hate when we put one another down, Andrea.
Yes,
it's a team effort. Like when the women, that one woman that called in, one of the reasons I called, I didn't like her comment about men. No, all men aren't like that, okay? Because I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I'm right in there. I jump in there. I do housework. I clean.
Yes.
I'm like to tell you, I'm very particular the way I like things.
Yes.
Even, like I'm in my car now. She'll get in my car, and, you know, I like everything. You know, like she might drive my car and have a soda cup in there. I'm looking at her like, she said, I know, you don't want this in your car. I said, I ain't going to let you know how I roll. So, but all I want to say is, end on this note, we're a team.
Yes.
You know, because of the way society did us, if you think about slavery, if you know about, and I know you do, how they took the man and emasculated him in front of his whole family. So now the woman, think about it, a man feels a certain kind of way. He couldn't protect his wife when they were doing whatever they did to her.
Yes.
And then she's coming back to him, and he's feeling some kind of way because, wow.
Yes, somebody else said yes.
So we got a lot of psychological issues that we need to admit to, and then we need to work through them. But I had to call in. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you so much, Gary. Thank you so much for weighing in. I fully appreciate it. All right, let me see. Dr. Eugene Williams, Sr.
Hello. I'm calling all the way from
Maryland.
Clinton, Maryland. And you know what?
Yes, sir.
Speaking of strong woman, this morning, my 85-year-old wife and I were working towards getting her book that she wrote for young children to help them to improve themselves. The book is called You Are Special, A Child's Guide for Successful Living. It's a book based on the Ten Commandments, but that's one thing. Talking about a strong woman and a strong man working together. If you would Google Lift Every Voice and Sing.org, Lift Every Voice and Sing.org, you will see that beautiful 85-year-old wife who helped me to get NBA teams and NCAA teams and school systems and people there in Philadelphia singing the Black National Anthem. There is an article, and I will end with this. When this idea first came to mind, I asked my wife about it. She said, go for it. And there is an article that I think every person might want to read that appeared in the Washington Post on July 5th of this year. The heading of the article is, Lift Every Voice and Sing, Hymn Inspires Hope. Lift Every Voice and Sing, Hymn Inspires Hope. And I mention this because in this particular article, there is mention made of Al Sharpton, what he thinks of the Lift Every Voice and Sing, and it mentions my success due to my wife helping me my wife and my son, but my wife particularly, 85 years old, lift every voice and sung all over the United States of America.
Yes.
This, to me, is good news.
Yes.
We are still working together to make things go right for this world. And I just tuned into your show, and I'm just so thrilled. They're talking about men, strong women.
Yes.
And my wife. And the other thing, and I'll let you go.
Yes.
If you want to know more about this lady, go to SILMC.org. SILMC.org. That stands for Success in Learning Math Center. She is a nationally known mathematician.
Oh, I love how you just love upon and honor your wife. I love it. Thank you so much, Dr. Williams. I appreciate your calling, okay?
Thank you, and say hello to all the people there in Philadelphia.
Yes,
Lift
sir.
every voice and sing.
Lift every voice and sing, till earth and heaven ring.
Yes.
Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Thank you so much for calling in. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Andre from West Philly, can I just tell you all, you've been calling all day long. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. How about you?
I am hanging and banging. What can I do for you, man?
Yes, I wanted to talk about, well, I have so much to talk about, but let's stick to the topic. I want to talk about the Trump thing and the black men voting for Trump and our beautiful, strong black women.
Sisters,
the predicament we're in right now.
Yes.
I want to talk about the relationships first between the black man and the black woman. We got to consider white supremacy and the evil deeds that they're doing to keep us apart from each other and not wanting to be with our brother and sister counterparts.
Yes.
You turn on the videos and they're making our women look really bad like thoughts and just a piece of meat. Just out there twerking and all of this ill language. And the men, you look at the videos and they're all violent. They only got one thing on their mind, to treat their women bad and steal from their brother or murder their brother. It's playing on their psyche. And then you got to go even way further back. When we were brought up in church, we got the image of our beautiful white Jesus, and white people are supposed to be so much better than us, and we're fed that throughout our whole life. You open a magazine up, and the image of a beautiful woman is a white woman, and all of those things. And then we're looking at Trump and why black men probably would vote for Trump, and I don't believe it's that many out there that they're saying, but I know when I was younger, everybody thought you should be a Republican if you want to be rich.
Right. And if you wanted to get a job, right?
Right. You want to be Republican, you want to be rich, and you would ignore all the things that Republicans are supposed to do to you negatively and just stick to them because you want to be rich also and you want to have a good job, so you better be Republican. And then it's also the psyche, you have to stick with the white folks because they're better than you black people.
Right.
I mean, us black people. And it's really bad, and the only way that we're going to get out of that is if we turn all of that negativity to positivity within ourselves and with our relationships. And ignore all of these videos and all of this vitriol that they're putting out trying to make us not like each other.
Yes, agreed. Thank you so much, Andre. I appreciate your calling in, okay?
Thank you so much. Oh, can I say one more comment?
Yeah, sure.
About the police situation. Everybody's talking about defunding the police and all of that, and that's scaring everybody away. We need to simply change policing and change the police because they were put here to intimidate the black people and catch the slaves and all of that horrible stuff, and we don't need that anymore.
Agreed.
We need to disarm them or completely change them or something. We don't need a cop pulling us over because we got a bad taillight, and we might not make it home after that.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Completely change so many things.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, and I love your work.
Thank
and
you.
I love your attitude and everything that you're doing. And I'm listening to you as often as I can.
Oh, thank you so much, Andre. You have a great afternoon, okay?
You do the same.
All right, honey. You are listening to The Source. Jesus be offense. I've never had this many phone calls since I started the show. It's been lit. 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD 215. I don't even know if I want to give you the phone number. The phone's been cracked. 634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Enterprise Exterminators, located 4943 Wayne Avenue, specializing in lantern flies, termites, bed bugs, fleas, mice, and roaches. Do-it-yourself kits are available. Call now, 215-849-7070.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy. If you miss me from the protest line and you can't find me nowhere, I'll be 6 feet back with my mask on. I'll be shouting right there. Yes, I'll be shouting right there. Oh my goodness. Yes, I'll be shouting right there. Now, if you miss me from the protest line and you can't find me nowhere, Corona may track us. I'll do the right thing. Shelter in place somewhere. Yes, shelter in place somewhere. And if you miss me from the protest line and you can't find me nowhere, gotta go and register and vote on time. Yes, I'll be voting on time. Oh, I'll be voting on time. Yes, I will. I'll be voting on time. If you miss me from the protest line, I'll be voting on time.
You're listening to The Source with Black Women's Leadership Council on Word Radio. Streaming live on WordRadio.com and the Word Radio app.
That wasn't the Black Women's Leadership Council. I'm telling you, Mike is over here doing the most. Let me get Malcolm. Malcolm, are you there?
Hey, I'm right here.
Hey, sir, how are you?
Yeah, I was listening. I listen every day. I'm usually commenting online.
Oh, yes. But you called it in. What's up, man?
Look, I had to call in for this conversation. I seem like the previous caller stole all of my thunder. But all I can say is that I was raised by 2 strong black men.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a mother and a grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And, God rest their souls.
Mm-hmm.
But I totally can't understand where these black men are, where they're coming from, as far as their support for Trump.
Yes.
It makes zero sense to me. Only thing I can think of is the mentality of older black men.
Yes.
Like some of what the previous caller said.
Mm-hmm.
With everything going on with, our struggles.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the attitude with a lot of older black men when it comes to careers and jobs and all of that is, I got mine, you got to get yours.
Mm.
And those kind of resources that may have existed in the 50s don't exist anymore for the young people out here now.
Right. Agreed, Maurice. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much stuff going on.
Malcolm. Did I call you Maurice? Malcolm, I'm sorry.
Malcolm, yeah. I'm online all the time.
I know, Malcolm. I see you. You're the first one that's on when I get on the air. Thank you so much for being, a fan for the whole time. I fully appreciate your sticking with me.
I had to call in today.
Yeah, I fully appreciate it. So, Malcolm, let me say this to you. I'm not sure. I really do believe that a lot of this is tied into lack of communication and mistrust, right? When a black woman is absolutely loved, there is nothing she wouldn't do for her man.
There are some black men that feel rejected by black women.
And I don't understand. And let me say, I'm not making any excuses. I'm not, because I've seen some things in my lifetime, right?
Yes.
But we have to find our way back to center. We just have to. We cannot continue to go down this pathway. All right?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for calling in. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm still listening. I'm still listening.
All right. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye. Stephen J., New Jersey. Stephen, are you there?
Yes. How are you doing, lady?
Man, I opened up a can of worms today.
Don't get me started, okay? Looky here. I'm sorry, but I've been listening to you ever since you first come on the URD.
Oh.
All right, WRD.
Yes.
Ever since you first come on. And today I had to call.
Oh.
The brothers have been showing up. I I got to show up. Point blank.
Yes.
Right? And, I think that the issue, the crux of the issue is that we think that there is a disparity between the men and the women among the black community.
Yes.
There really isn't. There really isn't. Okay. We men, we see things in society and in our own reality a little differently than the women do. Okay, point blank. And I think that when the last three callers, for example, they brought up issues that I totally agree with.
Yes.
We are in total support of our women.
Yes.
Number one.
Yes.
All right. That's not the. They want to paint the picture that the majority of black men are somehow discordant,
right,
or in some way in some type of battle against their own women. That's not true. That's simply not true.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. Me and my wife, we disagree on issues, and we get our jaws blown up and all that stuff. Over issues. But ultimately, we come back like, baby, I really thought about that.
Yes.
I have to apologize because I really didn't think this thing through.
Yes.
And sometimes she'll say the same thing.
Yep.
What I'm getting at is that being men and women, we will look at society and our realities in a different way. But we came together for a reason.
Yes.
Right? For a reason. And that reason is spectacular.
Yes.
If we will just, settle down and say, okay, let me look at the spectacularness of why we came together. Then we will come to a, I guess we'd say fulcrum, or a center point, or a focus of why this is going on. We love each other so much.
Yes.
Okay? I love my woman. She has, look, I'm just going to say this. Look here. I have a background. Okay? And it's a serious one. And she could have just said, nah, I don't know. I'm just going to leave you alone. No, I don't want to deal with that. But she was unique to bring me into her life and the life of her family, and to say, look, this is what this dude's background is, but I've accepted him, and these are the reasons why. Yes. Now, we can continue to check him and recheck him over and over again to see if he's going to follow through what his promises are and to continue in his behavior. All right? Look here. I mean, this is kind of going off on a tangent.
Yeah, go on.
I have time. But, I did, almost 28 years in prison from state to federal, not in the northern states, but in southern states. I'm 66 years old. I spent over a third of my life, almost a half of my life, in prison. So what she has come to understand is that I have a perspective and a behavior that follows the perspective that I've seen some things that people in society don't know. And they don't know because it wasn't brought out here yet.
Right.
It's done inside.
Right.
So this brings me into congruence with the lady, I think she was white, I'm not sure, who was talking about the psychology, the social psychology and things like that. She was hinting on something that I think people really don't understand because she didn't have the time to bring it out in detail. But the people in opposition, they definitely are using not just social psychology, but pure psychology to get their job done.
Yep.
And our side need to do the same thing, not because the other side did it, but rather because these are the things that know. Right. When I say things, I'm talking about the psychologists who sit in higher places and whatever, and have attached themselves to the Trump administration, have said, look, this is how we can get this done. And people will not understand, they will not know what's going on until it's too late.
Yep.
So, and again, I understand you talked about this as well in some perspective on the periphery of the issue, but I'm trying to bring home that this is something that is central.
It is.
To our ability to rise above this, above this stuff that's going on that we continue to face, and we're like, my God, there's more stuff coming here, more stuff coming there. What are we going to do? I mean, you know, we're bombarded to the point where we feel so oppressed that we feel hopeless. And what I want to say to our people, period, all right, is that do not feel hopeless. This is not a hopeless situation. We have the ability to rise up against this.
Yes.
Period.
Right. And we're going to let love lead the way, which is why we're constantly having these conversations around taking care of each other, right? I don't talk about my husband or about the love that we share in the community because I want to share my business so much, but I'm trying to lead by example. You understand what I'm saying? So people can see another way, because we spend way too much time just disemboweling people and making them feel horrible and cutting them down and quite frankly, we've got to cut it out. We've just got to cut it out. Just got to cut it out.
We do. And I'm going to get off.
Yes, sir. Because I got to end my show now. You got to end the show.
Oh my God.
You did. Thank you so much, Stephen J. And thank you for honoring and loving that black woman that loves you so much, okay?
I love you all. Period.
Oh, yes.
Because of what you do.
Thank you so much, my brother. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Listen, I have had 2 call sheets filled with callers today. I'm not taking another one because I have some things that are on my mind, right? I am very intentional. I was telling Josh Duncan last week or the week before when I was sitting in here in the studios that before I come in here and sit in this chair, I have done quite a bit of homework. I do a lot of research. I ask a lot of questions. I talk to my friends. I talk to strangers. I see what works for us. And then when I come on the air, I am having conversation that will edify and uplift and to get us to a better place, right? If you notice, I don't have a whole lot of conversations about the violence and the raping. I don't do any of those things. I talk about what we can do to make us better people so that we can move forward and get some stuff done on behalf of the collective. I am able to sit in these chairs every single week because I have a husband, a strong black man in my house that watched me for, well, he didn't watch me, but he met me and paid attention to me for 5 years, learned everything about me before he asked me that if we could go out, and then spent the next 5 years doing everything that he could to show me that he saw me, he understood me, and he loved me. By the time he asked me to marry him, it was a no-brainer. And let me tell you, I have not regretted a day of it. Now, do we have our disagreements? Yes, I can get on his everlasting nerve. Let me tell you. And he'll look at me and go, okay, Andrea, I'm going into the left, you go right, and we'll figure it out, right? But the bottom line is that we care about each other to the point where I know where he starts and I end, right? Where I start and he ends. And so we constantly take care of each other. If I was in here playing those games and acting like everything was everything, I wouldn't be able to be authentic. And that's what we're walking around with. So many people walking around in their representatives trying to be perfect instead of just trying to be. Right? Just living their lives and being. When something goes wrong, say, I don't feel good today. When something is, it's not right today. Don't sit around and pretend like all is so well. Folks are going through divorces. Folks are sick. All sorts of crazy things are going on. And it's because we spend so much time living in that representative, trying to pretend to be something that we're not. And I'm asking us to really stop and take a look at what's going on around us. It does not take a whole lot to practice kindness and empathy and to treat people well. It really doesn't, right? It really, truly doesn't. We have an election coming up. People are fighting in every corner. Folks are being killed out on the streets. You know, if our people that we've loved and cherished are dying at the youngest of ages, and it's on and on and on. I am asking you to step your games up. Whatever it is, whatever level you are on, step it up. Step it up. If you were kind, be a little kinder. right? If you got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, just get up at 4:30 and do a little bit of more meditation and some praying and figuring out how you can do something kind for somebody other than yourself. Think about it, because the kindness that you give comes back to you, not in the way that you would expect it, but it's coming back. We have got to treat each other better. Stop feeding into the notion that all these bad things are that we're just bad people and that we don't love each other. I love you. I love each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart. I am as transparent as I know how to be on this radio show to get you all to a better place. Now, I'm going to go get a colonoscopy done because, hey, if I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to be about it. Coming up next is Sincerely Sarita for Happy Hour. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.